Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
Hello, we are back. Oh, there it is already. Okay, we are back for more. Excellent, Party Squirrels. So we are going to cover yesterday from Lori Vallow. As many of you guys know, we were doing Koberger yesterday. And initially it was thought that maybe they would be going today as well, but they are not. So works out here, and also works out because it was a shorter day. So we are going to get through this and probably before today starts. So I have not seen any of this because, again, Koberger. But we are picking up here with Lori's cross of Daniel Coon. So let's go. And he's in the dark again. That happened yesterday too. It was weird. Weird yesterday, and it's also weird today. Now we have the lights on, at least. Great sound, right? Love that. Okay, maybe nothing. Let me just see. Oh, they go away and then they come back. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I think. All right.
Detective Coons, I know we didn't really establish yesterday. I know that you're retired. Is that okay if I call you Detective Coons, or would you prefer something else?
Detective is fine.
Okay, thank you. Detective Coons, yesterday you testified that no stippling was found as a result of the shot on my husband's chest. Is that correct?
Oh my God, we're back with the stippling again. This just makes me think of Murdoch. Let me pull up also our objection counter here. This is the running objection counter that is current as to the trial up to this point. So here's where we're at. So far, up to this point, 43 objections from the state, 3 objections from Lori.
Correct.
To my knowledge, none was found.
Okay. So would it surprise you if the medical examiner expressed in his defense interview that there was stippling found in that shot?
Would it surprise me that he had found it? Not necessarily based on the information.
Okay. Would it surprise you if the medical examiner expressed that the shooter would have had to be 2 to 4 feet away for that stippling to be present?
And this is from your interview or from the report?
From the interview.
Okay. No, that actually would still be consistent with my observations at the scene.
Okay, great.
Great.
If someone very muscular like my husband were 2 to 4 feet away from you holding up a bat, would you consider that a threat?
Can I object to speculation, relevance?
Your Honor, I'm asking for his opinion as a professional and as a firearms expert.
Oh my God, Lori. Oh Lord.
He's not, okay.
That goes to the ultimate
hold on.
decision.
Oh my God.
The
Oh,
objection
my.
is sustained and it calls for a legal conclusion.
And honestly, it doesn't even fucking matter.
He
Anyway.
goes for a legal conclusion?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Let me back this up. So first of all, the state objective for relevance. Okay, let me just back this up.
Great. If someone very muscular like my husband were 2 to 4 feet away from you holding up a bat, would you consider that a threat?
Can I object?
Okay. Speculation. I guess so. When I said relevance, I was thinking the stippling's not relevant, but for this specific question, definitely speculation. I don't know about relevance. I mean, I guess it's not relevant because it's speculating.
Object to speculation, relevance.
Your Honor, I'm asking for his opinion as a professional and as a firearms
I mean,
expert.
it does call for a legal conclusion. That would have been the state could have made that objection to.
It's not, okay.
That goes to the ultimate
hold on.
decision.
The objection is sustained and it calls for a legal conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
He calls for a legal conclusion?
Oh my God, does she not know what that means? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yes, move on.
Did they not teach her that? Her advisory council? Oh God.
Were you present,
Oh, God.
Detective, when my husband was shot?
That's how we're starting the day. I can see where this is going. That's how we're starting the day. Fuck. The judge goes, move on. Y'all.
No, ma'am.
Shout Black Widow. Shout Candace, Carla. Ronnie's back.
Is there a video?
You changed so you're a girl, Ronnie. I mean, not that it matters, but I'm just like, oh, wow. So we have a beautiful picture, Ronnie. You're gorgeous. And anyone else who's new, by the way, let me know if you would like a custom command a la these examples. Carla and the zapping is really funny, isn't it, though? Someone's right because of her stupid thing. Right. At first it took a second. Yes. The zapping. Yeah. I wonder if that will happen. I wonder what the rules are. Like, do they have to be like physically harming or like gonna harm somebody, or like can like this bullshit qualify? I wonder, because there's probably restrictions, but yeah, zapping her would be appropriate.
Video recording of it.
To my knowledge, no.
So is your opinion then an educated guess about what really happened?
Is being funny. Look, he's not doing Franks. If you're still here, that is so funny. Nightbot is being really picky. Let's try these again. Holy mackerel.
It's based on known facts.
Okay. Were you aware, Detective, that my husband and my brother were very good friends?
No, ma'am, I didn't know the relationship.
Did you know that they hung out and played golf together?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay, this is a lot. Hold on. So I'm just making sure that these commands are working. No one. This whole thing was staged. You know, I was saying yesterday that I think that Alex brought the bat with him just so they could, because they had this whole thing planned. By the way, Frank, if you're listening, your command is working, and that's not every day that that happens. So, right. And then he left the room to get the gun. Right. So even as per their story, right, leaving the room to get the gun would make him not a threat. Yeah. Okay, let's back up so we can catch this other slew of issues.
An educated guess about what really happened?
It's based on known facts.
Okay. Were you aware, Detective, that my husband and my brother were very good friends?
No, ma'am, I didn't know the relationship.
Did you know that they hung out and played golf together?
Objection, relevance.
Mhm.
Sustained.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm going somewhere with this.
No, you're not. Stop it.
Oh,
Lori.
I
My
guess,
follow-up question will explain.
Oh my God.
I guess you can answer if you knew that they played golf.
I did not know.
Great.
In all of your investigation of my life, you never came across this information?
Asked me, objection asked and answered.
Objection, relevance.
Also asked and answered.
Sustained.
Wow. I
Are
mean,
you familiar with my husband's wishes for his funeral?
Objection, relevance.
wow.
Sustained.
Wow. Lori, what are you doing? Yes.
Did you learn in your investigation that he named my brother Alex as one of his 5 best friends?
And I'm going to object again to relevance.
Oh my God.
Sustained.
Oh my God.
Did you read the reports in this case?
I did not read all of the reports in this case. No, I've read mine and I've authored mine, but I have not read the other reports.
None of the other reports except for your own?
That's correct.
Okay. Detective, are you familiar with the follow-up report you wrote dated July 29th, 2019?
She's back to her hairdo with the bop on top, the troll hairdo.
You're going to have to be a little bit more specific.
Did you review your reports in preparation for your testimony here today?
Yes, but I have not memorized the dates of when I made a report entry.
Okay. Would you like to see it to refresh your recollection?
That would be helpful.
Okay.
So she's on her third. I just wanted to point out, she's got at least 3 different suit jacket coat things, because she's on, her first one was black. The other one, my favorite one, was the one she had on day 2, which was the navy blue one that was more tailored. Now she's on a brown. So she's got at least 3 of these, which is interesting because the jail is providing those or whatever for her.
Okay.
You squirrel friend, Andrea L. Welcome, welcome. I'm not sure how she's going to get through this. This guy isn't giving her no respect either. I know. There's no reason. There's literally no reason for any of this. It doesn't help literally anything. Frank's, other people have been having that problem, by the way. Meg was having that problem earlier. Heather was having that problem earlier. But I don't know if you noticed your command is working. Maybe there's YouTube having issues, man. But that's crazy. I'm trying. So it did eventually work again for Meg. Like Meg, it wasn't working and then it did work. Some people will recommend clearing out your cache. I have no idea. But yeah, so welcome to our new squirrel friend here. Yeah, there's literally, like, even if you were a regular defense attorney, I don't really know what you would be getting out of this dude. I mean, I would maybe ask more questions about the lizard thing he had going on, just because we didn't get to see it. I'm just curious. Maybe some more questions about the directions of the bullets and stuff. I mean, there was some stuff he did testify to on direct, but I don't know that Lori's going to even ask about any of that, because I don't think she has enough knowledge to even do that. you know, she didn't even know what a revolver was. You know what I mean? So anyway, interesting. Weird, Franks. That's very weird. So, anyway, yes. Here she goes.
Does that look like a true and correct copy of your report, Detective?
I believe it is.
And those Bates pages run from what to what, please?
They're obscured in the footnotes of it, but it looks like it's 126 through 131.
Okay. And on the last page of your report, on Bates page 131, you explain what a shored wound is.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you read that underlined portion?
I would object to hearsay to reading it.
Yeah.
Sustained. You can ask him to explain what a shored wound is.
Okay. Can you explain to us what the shored wound is that you explained in your report?
Yes, a short wound would be a wound created as an exit wound where the projectile is exiting the body and the body is either up against a firm surface or firm material like spandex type thing. That's how it's been explained to me.
Okay. That's fair. You said held in place by tight clothing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you in fact, and it says in your report, did you in fact collect my husband's clothing?
Yes.
And you took the clothing, it says, to the property storage facility. Is that correct?
Yes, it went to a drying cage.
Okay.
A drying cage.
Detective, are you familiar with bamboo clothing?
Oh, God. Lori?
Can't say that I am.
Okay. Were you aware that on July 29th, 2019, my husband was wearing a $200 bamboo workout shirt?
Objection irrelevant.
What the fuck,
You can ask if
Lori?
he knows.
I
Y'all, don't mind the cursing. It's going to happen. Angel Baby, thank you so much for the super chat. You're listening at work. Thank you so much. And remind me, well, you don't have to. I don't think you've said before, but let us all know if you feel so inclined what you're doing at what you do at work, if you want to, because, you know, we want to support you at your job. I mean, for real, right, Franks? I know. She had to say $200. What the fuck, Lori? The things that are important to her are not what are important legally speaking. I mean, obviously.
have no idea what the cost is.
Are you aware that bamboo is a heavy duty fabric, not to rip or tear except under extreme conditions?
I've not done any research into bamboo fabric.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So could this fabric of his shirt have caused the wound to be shored?
It could have been a contributor, but it would not have been in this particular case.
Why so?
The body would have
My
been
God,
on the
that is
floor where the bullet
amazing.
defect was in the floor.
So you just said in your
Right.
report earlier
Oh, Bonnie.
that a shored wound could be caused by tight clothing.
You guys are
Is that
so
correct?
funny.
Correct.
You
And you're
guys,
saying that could not have happened in this case?
The shirt did not appear to be tight clothing to me.
y'all are so funny.
Well, it was
Why
made
so
of
funny?
bamboo, as we established, right? Is
Shut up, Lori. You can't just be testifying.
that correct?
I am taking your word for it. I do not know that it's a bamboo shirt.
Okay. And you did not investigate that at all?
So the state could be objecting here to facts not evidence, the bamboo shirt, right? They could be objection facts not evidence. They're probably seeing how this day is going to go. They're probably pacing themselves because she's already elicited, I think 8 objections today so far.
No, ma'am.
That's awesome.
But you had the shirt in your possession,
It was seized as evidence, yes.
and you never checked what kind of fabric it was,
No, ma'am.
and you never checked if that could be a possibility,
No, ma'am.
and you knew that spandex was kind of a material that could make that kind of shored mark that
Taking
you just mentioned, correct?
It would have to be super tight clothing.
Y'all watch when she shakes her head, her little troll. I'm saying troll like the doll because one of you guys was so smart to say that her hairdo's like those troll dolls. When she shakes her head, it bobbles and it's really fucking funny. When you're mad at her, you can just focus on that.
And you never checked if that could be a possibility,
See?
No, ma'am.
and you knew that spandex was kind of a material that could make that kind of shored mark
Very
that you just
good.
mentioned, correct?
It would have to be super tight clothing.
Super tight clothing,
Yes.
or a fabric that's even stronger than the spandex that you mentioned.
The strength of the fabric, I don't believe
Oh my God. Oh my
has
God.
a huge play in it unless it is form-fitting and compressing the skin, much like a hard surface or firm surface would.
Okay. But what you said in your report
Oh my
is
God.
that held in place by tight clothing could cause
Objection, improper impeachment.
a shored wound.
As has been explained to me, yes.
Okay. Detective, in your report, you mentioned,
Mhm. I think that was Rochelle who, if I recall correctly, I think that was Rochelle who pointed that out. So some of you guys may know Rochelle. Shout out to Rochelle. I believe it was Rochelle and there was another thing she also looks like. What was it? I can't remember now, but there was a second thing that somebody suggested like a few days later. And I was like, oh my God, also that. But yeah, definitely the troll doll.
Let's see.
Let's see.
So it is possible that his shirt could have caused the wound and not the fall.
I'm going to object to asked and answered.
I'll let him answer.
I don't know if it's possible or not for that particular shirt to have caused a short wound
Because you did not do any investigation about the shirt.
Oh my God.
because the shirt did not appear to be form-fitting and very tight.
Did it cover over the shoulder where the wound was?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It was a full t-shirt at the time.
That's what I'm saying. So was the
Oh my God. What happened to her? So I think what has happened to her is she had her first 2 days and she didn't get zapped yet, I guess is what I could say. Okay. For some reason, she now thinks she's a real fucking attorney and she can just be all gutsy with these questions and get a lot of attitude and everything. I mean, she was a little bit more cautious initially and a little bit more polite. This is a completely different tone from her. And it's funny because at the end of day 2, the judge cautioned her and warned her. She got scolded. In fact, the timestamp is Lori gets scolded on the video, the live stream from us. So she's come back she's triple, quadrupling down. I'm shocked. It's like she's hell-bent on destruction. I feel like that's an understatement. Iowa welcome says, so am I supposed to believe that I'm safe from flying bullets if I wear a bamboo workout shirt valued at a minimum of $200? Yes, that is what we have learned thus far. That is correct. That is what Lori would have you believe. Candace says, it's crazy that she had this whole life that she said she wanted and then had everyone executed. Yep. Accurate.
t-shirt where the wound was on his back, where the bullet exited, was his shirt covering that part of his body?
Certainly.
I know.
Was there a hole in the shirt at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
How big was the hole?
Size of the bullet?
So small.
How big was the hole? I agree with you, Ronnie. She certainly doesn't disappoint. This is honestly much better than, I mean, it's honestly like, because we're used to seeing pro se defendants just suck. It's really much more entertaining to see her fight. I'm just shocked she's doing it, but it's definitely a shit show that I love. I love a good shit show.
Covering that part of his body?
Certainly.
Okay. Was there a hole in the shirt at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
How big was the hole?
Size of the bullet?
So small.
Fabric stretches and contracts. So
Oh my God.
it was a bullet size.
Okay. So when you had this shirt and you saw the bullet hole, it was after the shirt had been cut off by the firefighters. Is that correct?
It hadn't been cut off. It had been cut down the middle, down the front,
So just the front was cut. So the back was intact?
minus the defects that we have seen from the bullet and exits. Yes.
Okay. So you were able to measure that. Do you have a measurement for those bullet holes
Oh
in
my
the shirt?
God. Oh my God.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So it is possible that his shirt could have caused the wound, the shored wound.
Object again that we've asked and answered.
Asked and answered.
Okay. So is it possible that any shirt could have caused a shored wound in any?
Oh my God. No way. She should have thought about how annoyed she would be, and annoyed isn't even the right word. She should have thought about what it would be like to be objected to and whether she could handle that before she took this on. This is, look, listen to the attitude. This is crazy. This is crazy. Even for her. I am shocked.
It is possible that his shirt could have caused the wound,
Wow.
the shored wound.
Zapping.
Again that we've asked and answered this 3 times
Sustained.
now.
Okay. So is it possible that any shirt could have caused a shored wound in any kind of,
Fucking
And I'm going to object to foundation as to any overly broad.
wow.
as an expert,
Object. You could object to vague as well on that one. State. Go. Why not? Go for shoot for the moon. Shoot for the moon. You could probably on literally every objection. Literally all of them.
okay, I'm sorry.
Overly broad.
Sustain the objection.
Vague.
As an expert and in your professional opinion, could that fabric of his shirt that he was wearing that day cause a shored wound?
Again, I'm going to object to asked and answered multiple times.
Sustain.
Oh my God.
In the last paragraph of your report, detective, you indicate that you were able to confirm your suspicion of the body position at the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
And what did you mean by suspicion?
Well, at the time, I couldn't see through his body to see the full trajectories, so I did need the information from the autopsy. The trajectory rods helped with that, as well as the doctor's statements. All of that combined did give me the two different bullet paths.
Y'all,
Okay.
Squirrel Crew is the best. I'm just saying, Squirrel Crew is literally the best. I love you guys so much. Y'all are, every single person here is freaking amazing. But when I hear about the trajectory rods, again, to me, I'm just thinking Murdoch. And so we're going to have to see some two gray boys here in the chat.
And then can you tell me, Detective, what happened to my husband's shirt? Do you know where it is now?
The way that she calls him her husband.
It is in evidence, as far as I'm aware.
And it's, when you looked at it, where was it?
The last I physically saw that shirt was when I handed it off to a crime scene tech to put into a drying cage with the instructions, once it was dry, to have it moved into the property facility.
And so did you see it after it was in the property facility?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Corey,
So you saw it before it was dried, is
one
that correct?
look with the
While
shirt.
it was wet from the medical examiner's office, yes.
And that's when you examined it.
I had seen it at the scene as well.
And then did you ever examine it?
No, ma'am,
Okay, so you saw it twice.
that's fair.
Okay. So you didn't test it for anything?
I did not.
Did anyone test it for anything?
I
that
do
you're
not
aware of?
know.
Oh my
That you're
God.
aware of?
I do not know.
So you're not aware of it?
Correct. I do not know if anybody else tested it.
Could be right about that,
Was
Iowa.
the wood floor tested for any fragments of the projectile?
Mhm.
It was actually seized, so it was not tested.
What does seized mean?
We cut it out of the floor and kept it.
What?
Right, and then was it tested after it was seized?
No, ma'am.
So the wood floor plank that was taken from my residence was never tested for any fragments of the projectile?
The projectile was intact, minus a deformity to it.
Okay. But there wasn't any reason, are you saying there was no reason to test it?
There had been no implication or indication that there was a request for it to be tested.
And you wouldn't do that to see if the projectile actually hit the floor?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
No, ma'am. All the other
Did you not see the huge hole in the floor?
circumstances and information that led up to that decision to seize the floor, everything appeared that it was going to be related to the actual
I'm gonna have to get
bullet that
Bill
passed through
ready.
your husband's body and struck the floor.
He said your husband's body. That's him being snarky, and she deserves it. Oh my God.
And that led up to that decision to seize the floor, everything appeared that it was going to be related to the actual bullet that passed through your husband's body and struck the floor.
Wouldn't testing the floor actually be the easiest way to be sure that the bullet hit the floor?
Oh my God.
Not necessarily would it leave anything behind. Like I said, the bullet was a full metal jacket. It was still intact.
Mhm.
There had been a significant amount of blood that had pooled in it. I do not know if there would be residue left behind in it for testing.
Fair. Okay. Was the projectile tested for any marks from the floor?
No, ma'am.
Were you aware that this was a rental house that we lived in?
I believe I'd heard that.
Were you aware that we had only lived there for about 3 weeks prior to this incident?
I knew it was a short time period, but I did not know the actual duration.
So you know what's crazy?
you-
She had those fucking mirrors installed within 3 weeks, right? You know, the mirrors so she could fucking dance around and send videos to Chad.
You know that by the time you wrote this report, right?
I don't recall knowing the exact time frame that you had lived there.
Okay. So the defect in the floor of the rental house that we lived in could have already been there before this incident. Is that correct?
Not in my opinion, no.
But it could have.
An objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
There it is. Yep, you called it, Ronnie. You called it. She's gonna get another objection. YouTube will work. Come on, YouTube.
So the defect in the floor of the rental house that we lived in could have already been there before
My
this incident. Is that correct?
Not in my opinion, no.
No,
But it could have.
no.
An objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
And speculation.
So of all the divots that we saw yesterday in the pictures on the floor, it could not have been there beforehand?
Again, asked and answered.
I'll let him answer. Go ahead.
The divots I believe you're referring to were extremely smaller than the actual defect, which was still relatively fresh and not sealed like the other divots were.
Okay, can we see?
I just want to note she started with 43 objections. She's elicited what 15 objections so far, which is insane. Does she think it's a contest? Maybe. Good morning, Glenn. Welcome.
Detective
Oh, you too. You
7. Detective,
I'm looking.
this, where my pin is pointing,
Yes, ma'am.
that's the defect that you're referring to where the bullet struck. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And these defects were already previously at the residence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do they look that much significantly different than that
that much.
to you?
Yes, they do.
What do you think the measurement difference in that,
What do you
is? In your
speculation?
professional opinion.
Speculation.
There is no scale on this photograph. It would be difficult for me to give you
Right.
an estimate.
So in your estimation, this
No,
defect
I can't give you an estimate, Lori.
is much larger
You have
than
an earwax problem like Donna Adelson.
this defect. Is that correct?
The second defect you're pointing to appears to be wood grain indentations. The other is an actual defect in the board.
Okay, thank you. But this defect, this piece of wood that was cut out was not tested. Is that correct?
Again, asked and answered.
Technically correct, but I'll let him answer.
Correct. To my knowledge, it was not tested.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I hate her.
So do you know, detective, for a fact, that the defect on my wood floor was caused by the second bullet?
And again, I'm going to object to asked and answered.
Sustained.
When we looked at the projectiles yesterday, the one from the baseboard clearly had white paint on it from the baseboard. Is that correct?
Baseboard or the drywall, perhaps.
Okay, but we all saw the white paint. Is that correct?
There was a white marking on it.
Was that tested for the white paint?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
There was no decision made to have it tested.
Because it was logical that it was in the baseboard where the baseboard was painted white, right?
It was very clear that it had passed through your husband and lodged in the baseboard. And upon recovery, there was no deformation to it, indicating that it was a straight-on impact or relatively close so that it embedded itself into the baseboard.
Correct. So it wasn't tested because it really didn't need to be, in your opinion.
Correct.
Okay.
We'll be here when
That's
you get back. Lori is the defect. Accurate. Yeah.
Next, we looked at the projectile that, according to you, made the defect in my wood floor. Is that correct?
Oh my
I
God.
don't understand your question. Next, we look at it, but I don't see anything.
Oh, we saw the projectile. Can I find out what exhibit that was?
Your paralegal has all those photographs.
Her stupid hairdo. Yeah, grab some popcorn is right, man.
I believe it's a smaller. Do you want her to hand that to the witness?
Is that 239? Detective, for the record, you're looking at
No.
exhibit 239. Is that
Imagine being
correct?
prepared.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the projectile that we are talking about that you claimed made the divot in my wood floor?
Yes,
Oh
ma'am.
my God.
Okay. So was that projectile was not tested? Is that correct?
Your Honor,
Is that what
I'm
you
going to
said?
object to asked and answered at least 3 times.
Sustained.
Does that projectile
Yeah,
look
that's
pristine to
annoying.
you?
Like she just said the whole thing about renting the house. So it's not even your fucking floor. Somebody else owned the house. Oh,
No, ma'am. As I've previously testified, it is slightly deformed.
What side is it deformed on? What part about it is deformed?
The back end, the heel area is compressed a
Yeah.
little bit so that it's now oval as opposed to circular.
And that would indicate what?
That would indicate that as the bullet struck something firm on its side, it compressed. And then it continued on moving.
Okay.
Welcome back.
So that's what you mean by a shored wound. It hit up against something. Is that correct?
The terminology as it's been described to me is it's the skin is against a firm surface. So in this particular case, the floor would be the firm surface. So as it's entering or exiting your husband and starting to try to enter the floor is forcing the bullet to kind of ricochet, but the body's still keeping it in place. So it's now deforming a little bit and it's still expending its energy to escape from underneath the body.
That makes sense. Plan on her, but
And if my husband was in fact laying on the floor, how did it get out from under his body? Wouldn't it have gotten stuck under? That's my question.
Just what?
Could you explain that to me?
I think I just did. So the bullet is a full metal jacket. It still has its energy until it starts striking things to cause resistance to it, to slow it down. It's going to expend its energy at a normal rate. I think I just lost the mic. I'm not sure.
No, it's fine.
Okay. When it starts striking firm objects, then it'll start bleeding the energy away. And in this particular case, as it's exiting your husband's body, it's impacting bone, it's impacting the flesh that's compressed against the floor, and it's impacting the floor now. So there is going to be a lot of resistance against that. Now, where it exited, it's still not free to just fly like the one that went through his chest and out the back. It's still semi-trapped between your husband's body and the floor. So that's going to cause even more energy drain until it comes to rest.
And how far away
not
from
nearly as much energy drain, I'm sure, as what he's feeling on the stand with her right now.
my husband's shoulder was that bullet fragment found? The projectile, I guess.
When it was found, I don't know the exact measurement away from it. I would say a foot or more, maybe.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about the energy. It still had energy to keep moving. Is
Yes.
that correct?
It had enough to escape from being under the body.
Okay.
Like how he wants to escape from that witness stand right now. I'm sure she's not listening, Candace.
So because of what you saw at the scene, and you stated in your report that it was your suspicion that that's what had happened, was that my husband was supine on the floor. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So was it your suspicion from the start of this investigation that led you to not confirm any other alternative?
What other alternative, ma'am? My job was to collect the information and put it together with the information that was being collected in the interviews. The information from the interviews did not completely match everything that I had learned at the scene.
Okay,
Nice.
let's see.
Oh my God.
You did not test the wood floor, is that correct?
I'm going to object again to asked
Wow.
and answered multiple times.
Sustained.
You did not,
50 billion
you
times.
did not test the projectile, is that correct?
I'm going to again object to asked and answered multiple times. And I'm going to move to start striking every question.
Yes. Do it.
You did not investigate my husband's shirt.
And object again to
Oh
asked
my
and answered
God.
multiple times.
Oh my God.
Sustained.
Oh my God.
Did you call Aloha Carolina and ask them about the fabric of my husband's shirt?
No, ma'am.
Fucking
Okay.
hell.
So would it be fair to say that you made an assumption early on and only investigated the things
20
that
objections she's elicited already. And the day is just getting started.
supported that assumption?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Incredible.
Remember in your report where you stated that the bullet strike to the abdomen had an upward trajectory passing through the left lung before exiting near the left shoulder.
Yes.
Okay. Could that upward trajectory have been caused by my husband falling backwards and the bullet hitting the abdomen and going upwards and exiting his shoulder as he hit the floor?
No, not in my opinion.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Detective Coons, on July 11th, 2019, were you at the Chandler Police Department during my interview?
No, ma'am.
Were you there that morning when we were brought into the Chandler Police Department at all?
No, ma'am. I was at the scene.
Okay. I thought you didn't get to the scene until 11:45.
No, that was when we actually obtained the search warrant. It was about a little after 11:45. I was
Okay.
already at the scene shortly after 9 o'clock.
Okay. Did you see the injury on the back of Alex's head with your own eyes?
I did not take a close look at it. I saw the paper towel that he was holding against his head.
But you did not see the wound itself?
No,
Okay. Are you aware if Alex's hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
there would have been no reason to swab for gunshot residue.
Why is that?
He had already stated that he was the shooter.
He had stated it?
To my knowledge, that's how the information was provided to me.
Okay. Are you aware if my hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
I am not.
Okay. Are you aware if my daughter's
They
hands were
actually
swabbed?
did swab his hands when they did his, because we watched his interrogation, and I believe they did swab his hands. And by the way, you also get a good look at the back of his head. We were looking at it yesterday, and official very aptly pointed out that it looked like the type of cut you'd get if you were shaving, which they actually, it's funny, in the interrogation, they actually talk about his hair is like shaved, you know, and he says he does it himself and it's hard to do the back without a mirror. And they actually joke about it. And official made that comment before that even happened, which was really funny. And it does look like that. I mean, he didn't even try. He didn't even try to make it look like he was hit with a bat, not even remotely.
Swabbed for gunshot residue?
I am not.
Yeah.
Do you know for a fact that Alex shot the gun in question?
Based on the information provided, that is what I have, yes.
Do you know that for a fact?
Just with the
Oh, no.
information that's been provided. I can't tell you one way or another if there's another shooter because the evidence does not show that there was.
Is she going to go with a 2-shooter theory like in Murdoch? And the 2 Gray Boys?
So all you really know for sure, after your 5 years of investigation,
For fuck's sake.
is that my husband was shot 2 times. 1 by that particular gun, 2 with those particular bullets
Welcome to the
at
party.
my residence, and that he passed away.
Here's the thing. So great question here. Back from Backwood Beats and Outlaw Rhythms. I wonder how the jury, I'm gonna have to start coming up with a better way. B-R-O-W, brow. I don't know. No, brar. No, that's not any better. I'm gonna call you Backwood. Backwood is saying, I wonder how the jury perceives someone representing themselves. You know, I think it varies. In this case, I think they perceive her as rude. This is my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. I would say probably rude, arrogant, and disrespectful. That would be so far what I would think the jury is perceiving. Because I think that even if you don't know anything about the case and you don't know anything about her other crimes, you don't know anything about her, you're just looking at her attitude, I think you can get there like easily. But y'all let me know what you think.
Away as a result of that. Would that be correct?
Oversimplified, there is a lot more information that is available to us for that.
Is that correct? Is that question correct?
Those are some known facts, yes, but that is not all we know.
So you can't really tell me for sure who shot him, can you?
Well, as we've established, I was not present when it happened. I can only go with the facts of what people have said and what the evidence shows.
Okay. You don't really know what time he was shot, do you?
Actually, no, I don't.
Okay. You don't really know if he was falling back or lying supine on the floor, do you?
Yes, I do.
You don't really know what time my husband actually passed away, do you?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Thank you.
Asked and
No more
answered.
questions.
Thank God.
Your Honor, I still have stuff that she
You
gave.
can pass those to,
Ha!
let's have your paralegal get
Oh,
the
God,
report that
okay.
you gave him, but I'll take exhibit 239.
I think you know what it is. I think YouTube hates Lori, and that's why it's had difficulties.
In terms of just
Oh, is
understanding
she also wearing brown? Oh, that would be weird.
your role working with crime
Oh,
scene
wow. She's also wearing a bit darker brown, but I think that's also a dark brown. How funny.
techs, you had testified yesterday that they are often the ones who actually pick up the item of evidence and put it in a bag, correct?
Frequently, yes.
Are you there?
This is a lady who has her hair done probably once a week because that blunt line there is not, I mean, you never see that, right? Like you let hair grow a day, it's gonna, at least my hair, grows so fast. If you let it grow one day, it would not have that. That's so crazy.
Observing them
It's
as they
okay.
do that?
Yes.
You're not just wandering around outside drinking a coffee while they're processing the house.
No, ma'am.
So every item that we brought in is something that you observed, you were there as they were documented and collected.
Correct.
And some of them, like the gun, you actually had to make safe before it could be collected.
Actually, Detective Duncan is the one that made it safe, but I was present for those things.
You were asked about the backyard being searched. When you have other people searching the house, and I think you'd said it was a collaborative event, if someone observes something, do they bring it to your attention as the scene agent?
Yes, if I'm asking somebody to do a search for me to help out with a larger area, it is their responsibility to bring it forward to me if they discover something that they think is important.
And if they see something, you would then go out and observe it yourself?
Yes.
We had talked about the gun yesterday and the ejection port. See if this will be visible here. What do we see right here?
So that is the ejection port.
So when we're talking about how this, how a semi-automatic gun works, and you were talking about the ejection to the right, is that in this gun indicated by the opening where that ejection port is, the side that it's on of the gun?
The opening is part of how it
I just love how Lori asked that question about the revolver. How is it different from a revolver? And I loved his answer. He's like, well, you know, like in a Western movie where they have the, and I was like dying laughing because I thought it was a stupid question. And I don't know like anything about guns except for what I've learned from trials. And even I knew that was a dumbass question. And then I played his answer because I said that. I paused it and then we heard his answer and I was like, oh my God, he's totally trying to be like that. That's a dumbass question. Yeah. Anyway, a revolver. Anyway.
indicate where it ejects.
Really?
Also the extractor, which is a small lever behind the ejection port, is what grabs the casing to pull it out. And internally, there's going to be an ejector that it's usually a small pinpoint that kicks it, and the springs basically flip it out.
So all of that was what made you understand which way the casings would have ejected out of this gun.
Yes,
Now you told us that that every gun can be slightly different if it's more upward, more outward, and you are unaware for this gun what that ejection would be like.
correct.
I'm going to go back to your diagram. This is Exhibit 5. Are you able to, by looking at the measurements that you took, give us an estimate of the distance between those two casings that you have listed here as 9 and 10?
My estimation would be a couple feet.
And I guess, did you take measurements of where those were?
I took measurements from the reference points to triangulate it, but I did not measure distance between each object to the other objects.
So the measurements that we see, I'm going to take it out of here. On the second page of your report, are those triangulations that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
So are we able to extrapolate from this any distance between those two, or we are left with what you recall at this point?
You're left with what I recall, but I also, on my diagram, I put a reference line or dimension line. It's near the north-south indicator, and that helps somebody who's looking at it get an idea of what a measurement might be in the diagram.
Okay. And is that this line up here?
Correct.
There was a lot of questions about where the shooter might have been at the time when this shooting occurred. Start with 19 while I look for a different perspective. But in this house, you have talked about a rounded wall. Can you tell us where you're talking about for that? And I'm going to put it 14. So on 14, what is this rounded wall that you're talking about when you're referring to the location or potential location? Let me say the general location of the shooter.
So the rounded wall is at the south end of the main room that we're in, where the body's at. And it's also directly across from the hallway that runs to the 3 bedrooms and the hall bathroom.
So is that this wall that we see in Exhibit 14 right here?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when we are talking about a gun being fired and casings ejecting, as someone who has fired guns before, have you fired them on where the casings are landing on a hard surface?
Yes,
Do casings bounce and roll?
they do.
So is the location of these casings, do they tell us exactly where they initially landed when they ejected?
No,
This is just where they ended up or stopped.
it's where we found them.
They could have been kicked at some point as well.
Yes.
When you are looking at this scene, are you relying upon these physical items of evidence to reach your opinion?
They would be some of it, yes.
And then are you relying on your training and experience in conjunction with observing the physical evidence as well as the injuries to Charles?
That would also be good pieces of the puzzle.
And are you able to give us the exact location of this shooter?
No, ma'am.
Are you giving us a general area of the shooter?
Yes, ma'am.
And for the shot that goes through Charles's chest and out his back, where is the general area that you are saying the shooter was located?
The shooter would have been located Somewhere in the opening to where the kitchen and the hallway is, in close proximity to the rounded corner as well.
Okay, I put up exhibit 16 here. So somewhere in this area.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you were asked a lot about the autopsy report and stippling. You were provided with a copy of it by the defendant, correct?
It was never provided to me.
You weren't allowed to look at a copy of it?
The report that she gave me was my report from the chain of report system, not the medical examiner.
Have you ever looked at the autopsy report?
I have.
Did you, in regards to the injury to Charles's chest, the entrance wound, ever see the word stippling used there?
No, it was not in the report.
When you were reading that, did you interpret the way that Dr. Baumgartner wrote that to mean abrasions related to the actual entrance wound of the gunshot?
That's how I interpreted it.
Does that mean that Dr. Baumgartner didn't mean stippling?
I don't know medical jargon so well, so he could have very well meant it with how he wrote it, but to me, it did not come across that way.
Okay. And when you were at the autopsy, you don't recall him ever telling you about the stippling?
Not in that word, no.
But you were there at the autopsy.
Yes, I
Oh,
was.
interesting.
Were you
Wow.
in the room with him, like right there next to him?
No, we are actually,
So this is the prosecutor, Trisha, what's her name? Trisha K, the lead prosecutor lady. So far, we've only heard at this juncture from one prosecutor and Lori. It's just been the two women, which is really funny. No variety for the jury.
mandated to stay in the, I guess it's the viewing area of that particular location.
There's a window between you and
That's going to
he's
be
in a different room.
Yes.
So you also were asked about Dr. Baumgartner saying in a defense interview that because of this, what you've now been told is stippling around that gunshot wound to the chest, that the shooter or the gun being used could have been 2 to 4 or so feet away. Do you recall being told
I
that?
usually include a thing up there, like a banner, but the thing is my banner is devoted to the objection counter. And sometimes Court TV plops those things up here, puts up there, whatever's going on. But what I'll do is I'll see if I can include something like pin it in the chat.
Yes, I do.
All right. I have a little thing here.
Just a little thing.
So 2 feet, 24 inches.
Yes, ma'am.
I wonder.
And I don't know if I can approach or if I have to have my.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, he's gonna let her approach.
About 2 feet. Same from the wound on his chest.
The indicator would be from the muzzle to the chest.
No, I'm not, guys. Y'all can let me know if you don't want me to do this. I'm thinking I might skip to the next witness because this is just a bit much. Like she's having to do all this just because of Lori's dumbass questions that don't even matter. So let me know if you guys don't want me to, but I'm thinking I might skip to the next witness. Which is, again, I haven't seen any of this yet. Okay, reportedly the last person to see him alive. Oh, is this the lady he went on a date with?
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name's Nancy Jo
Yeah,
Hancock.
see, this seems maybe a bit more interesting. That poor Daniel Coons was on the stand for a long time, and it was not necessary.
And do you go by Nancy Jo?
I do.
Okay.
How old are you?
61.
And do you currently work?
I'm self-employed,
Do you live here in Arizona?
and they say yes.
You born and raised here?
Born and raised here.
Do you have your own children?
5,
Do you have grandchildren?
15.
Wow.
Busy person.
Yes.
Holy fuck.
I'm going to direct you to a person by the name of Charles Vallow. Did you ever meet a person by that name?
I did.
How did you meet him?
I'm divorced. I was on an LDS dating site, and
Of course.
when new members join, it tells you this is someone new. And he sent me a message, and we began messaging.
Initially, did you just talk to him do you talk through the website? How does that work?
Through the website at first, and then he asked for my phone number, and then we were texting and talking on the phone as well.
Do you recall approximately when you met him?
It was early July, I
sure it'll
believe
be
the 3rd.
And so you said you guys would text. Was this,
A lot.
what's a lot to you?
Charles was a texter and a talker, and he was good at banter, and there were hundreds of texts by the time I had met him
You said you talked on the phone with him as well?
for hours,
Did you have a conversation with him once that lasted almost 3 hours?
probably more than one, yes.
When you met Charles in early July, did you know he was still married?
Not that long.
He told me he was in the process of a divorce.
Did you know whether or not he was living with his wife at that time?
He was in Houston. His soon-to-be ex-wife was here. When he came to Arizona, he was meeting a realtor to,
Oh shit. You know that made Lori mad because she's been soon to be ex-wife. Wow. Oh man. See, and what's great is she doesn't even know, right? Because there's witness exclusion. She doesn't even know what Lori's been doing. So, but that is just beautiful. Wow.
in the process of a divorce.
Did you know whether or not he was living with his wife at that time?
He was in Houston. His soon-to-be ex-wife was here. When he came to Arizona, he was meeting a realtor to find a place to live when he was here as well.
So when you're first meeting him, he's out of state, but he has a connection here to Arizona. So you keep talking to him.
Correct.
As you guys are talking and texting, did you eventually have enough interest that you decided you wanted to meet him?
Yeah.
Did you know what Charles did for a living?
Life insurance is something with money. I try not to have that be the focus when I'm getting to know somebody so that I get to know them for them and not what they do for a living.
Okay, so you didn't really care too much about
No.
what his job was.
No.
Did you know he traveled a lot for work?
Yes.
As you and Charles are talking and texting,
So what she's saying is she ain't a gold
just sort of yes or no, can you tell us, did he get very detailed about his life with you?
Yes.
Did you know if Charles had children?
Yes.
Just yes or no again, did you talk to him about his wife specifically?
A lot.
Did he mention his wife by name?
Yes.
What did you believe his wife's name was?
Lori Vallow.
Have you ever met Lori Vallow?
No.
Again, just sort of yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about
Your Honor.
why?
Objection, leading.
I heard the question.
Objection.
I haven't heard the question yet. Go ahead.
So just yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why? he
Leading
was
is yes or no.
No, leading is a question that suggests the answer. So she can answer yes or no.
So again, just yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why he was separated from his wife?
Yes.
Based upon your discussions, how long did you think there had been issues going on between Charles and his wife?
Wow.
For several months, but more intensely the last,
Is Lori trying
since
to
the
play
beginning of that year was 2019. So since the beginning of that year.
Is Lori trying to play catch up? We got 4 versus 63.
You told us that Charles talked to you in, let me ask you, yes or no, did he talk to you in great detail about his relationship with Lori Vallow?
Yes.
You told us you met on an LDS dating site, right?
Correct.
So are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
I am.
Was there anything that you were hearing that you thought were outside of your beliefs?
A lot of things.
As Charles was telling you these things about his wife, can you tell us his demeanor? What his voice was like, what his attitude was like as he's talking about that?
I just remember thinking that he was strangely calm and still kind towards Lori, even through what they were going through.
You told us you were aware he had a child. Did you know where that child lived, who the child lived with?
Yes.
Who was that?
He was living with Lori at that time.
You have
He had
this-
older children as well, but the young one was living with Lori.
You have these conversations with Charles about his wife and these things that to you seem outside the LDS religion. Why do you keep talking to him?
Well, he was very charming and kind and funny and very clever, really good banter. A lot of craziness going on around him, but he seemed pretty awesome.
Now, you guys had just known each other for a few days. Did you think you and Charles were exclusive?
Heavens no.
So would you be surprised to learn that he was talking to other people on other websites?
Not at all.
Did he in fact share some of that with you?
He did. He shared some pictures of some women that had sent him that were quite scanty, and then proceeded to ask him for money, and thought how funny that was. That's what people were doing online.
Did you eventually meet Charles in person?
I did,
And how many times did you get to meet him in person?
just once.
What day was that?
He was flying in from Houston, and we had arranged to go to dinner that night. His plane was delayed, and so I met him that night on the 10th of July.
July 10th, was that 2019?
Correct.
And was that then here in Arizona that you met?
It was.
You said that you had original plans to meet and they got pushed back.
Yeah, his plane was delayed, so we met a little later than we were supposed to
Where did you guys meet? What did you do?
at the Keg restaurant by Santan Mall, and we ate, but we talked until the restaurant closed. We were the last people there.
So you shut the place down.
We did. I finally looked around and I realized that we were the only ones there, and told him we probably should leave. And then we went outside and talked by my truck for another 45 minutes or so.
Based upon everything you had heard, was Charles coming in to see you, or was there some other reason he was in Arizona?
Charles was ecstatic to see JJ. He was coming to see JJ, so excited to take him to school the next morning. He was also coming to look for a place to live. He had an appointment to meet a realtor friend after he had taken JJ to school. And then he was also supposed to meet with Lori's brother, Adam.
So you and Charles have this evening on the 10th. Were you going to meet again?
Yeah, we were supposed to meet up late afternoon after he got through with the things that I just said.
So did you have a set time for the next
No.
day?
Mm-mm.
Can you describe Charles? Was he a fit man? What was his size?
Very fit and into physical fitness. And while we were talking, I know that he was swimming. You know, I got to go to the gym, and yeah, very, very fit, strong.
When you were talking with Charles on July 10th that evening, let me ask first, do you recall about what time you ended up meeting him?
It was around 7. I got there first, and but it was right around 7, between 7 and 7:15, I'd say.
And do you recall about how long you guys were together until you finally?
Well, the
left?
restaurant closed at 10, and they were closed, and no one else was there. So it was after that that we left. And then, like I said, we stood by my truck and talked for another half hour, 45 minutes after that.
So a later evening.
Yes.
Can you tell us, you said that you understood he was going to go see his son. What was his demeanor about with regards to JJ and seeing his son?
Like a kid on Christmas morning, he was very excited to see JJ.
You had talked about his demeanor when he would talk about his wife on that evening or ever. Did you ever hear him swear or use derogatory names or anything like that towards Lori Vallow?
I was surprised with the details that he was describing to me, how kindly he still spoke about Lori, and his hope was that she would be a great mom for JJ.
Did that stand out to you?
A lot.
Why?
Most men that you date are not nearly so kind about their ex and describe them in more derogatory ways and don't speak so kindly. And I remember just thinking how odd in a good way it was that he was not speaking in a derogatory way about Lori.
So that made an impression on you.
It did.
During any of your conversations with Charles, did you ever learn that he had a life insurance policy?
I did.
As you are talking, did Charles really just tell you a lot about his life?
A lot about his life. Yes.
Were you almost surprised at the amount of detail of his life that you learned?
Yeah.
Did you understand whether or not any changes had been made by Charles to the life insurance policy?
He told me that he had changed his beneficiary to his sister, Kay. And as he was proceeding to tell me some of the things that were going on, I suggested to him that maybe he should let Lori know that he had changed the beneficiary on his life insurance to Kay,
Why would you tell him that?
because of the things that he was describing to me and his concerns for his safety and the thought that money would come into play.
Do you recall where you were when you made that suggestion to Charles?
We were sitting at dinner at the Kay.
So this is on July 10th.
Correct.
What was his demeanor like when you told him that?
He kind of chuckled and said that he probably should. Said that was a good idea.
You told us that you don't know Lori Vallow, correct?
I do not.
Would it be fair to say that you sort of have no beef in this case?
I have no beef in this case.
Do you know any of Charles's family back then?
No,
Any of Lori Vallow's family back then?
no.
When you, I guess, left Charles after talking in the parking lot that evening, you told us that you had sort of unformalized plans to see Charles the next day.
Correct.
Was there like someone would call someone, or how was that supposed to go?
He just said that he needed to do the things that I said, have a morning with JJ, find a place to live, meet up with Lori's brother, Adam, and then we would meet up somewhere for a late lunch or something.
Did you ever try to reach him on July 11th?
I did.
Did you try texting him ever?
Around 11-ish in the morning, I texted him and asked how his morning with JJ had been.
Did you get a response back?
I did not.
Did you try calling him?
A couple hours later, I called once. Yes,
Did you get a call back?
I did not.
What were you thinking when you didn't hear from Charles after you spent this night?
I was puzzled how I had misread what I had thought been a good date so wrong that he would not even take the courtesy to reply. Wondered why, but just figured that was what his decision was.
So on July 11th, when you're not hearing back from Charles, did you know that he had been shot and killed?
No.
Did you later learn that Charles had been killed from seeing something on TV?
I was watching TV in December, I believe, and his picture came on the screen, and it said that he was dead.
When you learned that in December, that he had been killed, did you learn when that had happened? Did you try to investigate?
I did. They said the date, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's right about when I went out with him. And so I went to my phone and thought I probably had deleted our text conversations. If I'm not dating someone, I usually delete the thread, but I had not, and I had the conversations, and then I realized that I was with him until 10:45 that night, and that he died at 7:30ish the next morning.
And did you later then talk with the police in April of 2022, tell them what you knew about this case?
I did.
Thank you. The state has no other questions.
Cross.
Nancy Joe, right?
Correct.
And we have not met before,
We have
correct?
not.
Okay. And you stated that your husband or my husband told you that he was going through a divorce. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you have any way to verify that?
No, I didn't try to verify that.
So did it surprise you later to find out that we were not in the process of a divorce?
Charles was in the process of a divorce.
He was not in the process of a divorce. Did it surprise you to find that out? You've seen it all on TV where we're not getting divorced.
Okay.
So on the website that you met him, did he say he was divorced?
I'm not certain.
Would you have gone on a date with him if he would have said he was married?
If I would have realized how married he still was, maybe not. But I just met for dinner. I wasn't sleeping with him or anything.
Do you go on dates with married men? Not naturally?
Argumentative. I'm going to also object under 611 for harassment.
All right. I'll sustain the objection.
Your Honor, do I not have a right to cross-examine this witness for what she has already testified to?
You can cross-examine her about what she's testified to.
So you did go on a date with married men,
I went on a date with Charles.
but you did not know he was married.
I knew his divorce was not final.
His divorce was not started.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So in your text messages, you asked Charles if he was a good kisser. Is that correct?
Maybe, sure.
Did he answer that text message?
I'm
gonna
sure.
object to
I'm sure he did.
relevance. Again, 611 harassment.
I'll sustain the objection for relevance and hearsay.
So are you trying to tell me and this jury that you went on one date with my husband and he told you all the details of our lives?
I'm telling you the truth, and that's what I know.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
You knew all
Oh
about me,
my God.
right?
I knew what I testified to.
What else did you talk about on your date? You knew a lot about,
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
you knew a lot about me, right?
I knew what I've testified to.
What else did you talk about on your date?
Lots of things.
Like what, for instance?
Life, kids, the church, lots of things.
Okay. Did he tell you about anything about our other 4 children?
Yes,
So you knew that we did have 5 children as well?
I did.
Okay. Did he talk to you about my daughter, Kylie?
He did.
Did he talk about his relationship with her?
Well, I don't recall that.
Did he talk about the contention in his relationship with my daughter, Kylie?
I don't recall that.
I'm sure you don't.
And I'm going to object to comments by the defendant made after questions testifying.
I'll sustain the objection.
On your date, you talked about my husband was a life insurance salesman. Is that correct?
I knew he did something with money and insurance, but I really didn't know the details of what he did for work. Like I said, I don't ask the details about what someone does for work when I'm trying to get to know someone.
But you knew that he sold life insurance. You stated that.
I believe that I had a vague understanding that he did something with insurance.
And then he brought that up again at dinner.
No, we didn't talk about his work at dinner.
I thought you said you did talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you did talk about that he changed the life insurance policy at dinner.
Well, you were asking me if we talked about that he sold insurance, which that didn't happen. But yes, he did tell me that he changed the beneficiary of his life insurance policy at dinner.
Did he tell you how much his life insurance policy was for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
Yeah.
$1 million.
Did he tell you how much my life insurance policy was for?
No, I do not recall.
I
Yeah.
agree. Lori looks dumb for a lot of reasons. Holy shit, though. Wow.
We didn't talk about you very much in that.
Ha!
meeting.
Oh my,
When did you talk to him about me very much then?
oh my
If it
god.
wasn't at dinner, was it in your text messages?
Oh,
We were talking about what he was going through in the process of separating from you, not about what your life insurance policy was worth. And we talked about you on the phone. And when I say you, meaning what he was doing as he was going through this separation.
So let me understand. You were dating some different men on this website, right? From the websites.
Sure.
I mean, meanwhile, she's cheating on Charles with Chad, but never mind.
Would you say it was common for men to be talking so much about their supposed ex-wives during their conversations with a potential,
It's actually very common,
really
really.
Wow.
interesting?
And again, Your Honor, I'm
Right.
going to object to the
Fucking
defendant making
hell.
comments after her question.
Right?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I won't do that again.
Well, she was
I'll
admonished
just ask
already.
questions.
Thank you.
No, you won't. I feel like that's all not going to be what's happening. 23.
So there were some text messages between you and my husband after the dinner on July 10th. Is
I
that
just wanted
correct?
to point out the math. So she had 43. She's lodged 66 or elicited 66 objections so far today. Sorry, 36 objections so far today.
Correct.
What time would those text messages have occurred?
After dinner,
What time?
10:45-ish.
10:45 to what?
I'm not certain, ma'am. After dinner.
Don't even, you don't
10:45 to midnight, maybe?
I just told you I don't know. Maybe.
What did you discuss in those text messages?
And I'm going to object to relevance again.
Oh my
for a
God.
Specific area.
Sustained.
make that 37 objections she's elicited today.
You testified a minute ago that Charles told you a lot of things about his wife. You didn't say ex-wife, but you said wife. Is that correct?
Okay, sure.
What were a lot of things?
The
Lori,
things I testified to.
Can you be more specific?
why does it? Is she thinking? Is she hoping it's going to be compliments?
Am I allowed to do a narrative then?
I mean, it's hearsay anyway.
Let's go on sidebar.
Yeah, I mean, it is hearsay. Okay, they're going away. They cut the, okay, all right. So then they go to lunch. Holy fuck. Okay. Wow.
With the cross, was there something before we bring the jury in?
Nothing from the state.
All right.
Oh my
we'll bring
God.
the jury in.
Right? Open the door and smack her with it. How about that? Smack and a zap. Double whammy. Smack, zap combo. That's what I think she deserves. Although, you know what? If her stupid suit coat is bamboo, she'll be perfectly fine. Won't hurt her a bit.
Miss Hancock, you said that you had seen on TV that my husband had passed away. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you indicated after that that you saw my sister-in-law, Kay Woodcock, on that show and you reached out to her. Is that correct?
I didn't indicate that, but that is correct. I reached out to Kay after I saw that Charles had died.
Okay. And did you do that through Facebook or
I did.
social media? Okay. How many times between that first contact and now have you and Kay Woodcock communicated?
I've spoken to her just once. I've texted her here and there regarding, I've texted her here and there about other things. I don't know what I can say.
Okay. How many times have you texted her?
I have no idea.
Like more than 10?
Maybe.
Okay. Have you ever turned over those communications to the state?
No.
Did they ask you for them?
No.
Okay. Did you ever turn over the text conversations you had with my husband to the state?
I was never asked, but I understand that they retrieved them via having them through Charles' phone.
Okay.
I would have had I been asked.
Okay. Did you turn over any other communications that you had with anyone else regarding this case to the state?
I don't believe I've had any other regarding this case to turn over to anybody, so no.
Okay. How many times have you spoken to this prosecutor?
To Ms. Kay,
Yes, to Ms. Kay.
I met with her once in person and one other phone call, and then just text messages about the logistics of being here today.
Okay. How many text messages would you say?
I have no idea.
More than 10?
I know court was running behind, so she had to text me to come at a different time. Probably counting yesterday and today to redo the time, more than 10, yes. Prior than that, probably no.
Okay. Did you have a meeting with her to prepare for this testimony?
I met with her once,
How long was that meeting?
an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. Was anyone else there?
No,
Have you ever spoken to my brother, Adam?
yes, but only because I ran into him at my grandson's pickleball tournament the other day.
Adam does love
And how did you know that was him?
Because I've seen him on media via the situation surrounding you.
pickleball.
So you initiated a
God.
conversation with him?
I just said hi, and that was, he asked me who my grandson was, and I pointed it out, and that was the end of it.
So you introduced yourself to him? To my brother?
I don't know that I introduced myself, but maybe.
How would he know who you were?
Oh my God.
I don't know that he knew who I was. I knew who he was.
So you went up and talked to him?
I did talk with him, yes.
He didn't call you over, so you went up and talked to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine, Lori,
And
whatever.
when you were talking to him, you told him you were who?
Oh, yeah.
I told him
Adam is going to
that
test.
my name was Nancy Jo Hancock.
And did he recognize that name from something?
Can I go back and change how I met your brother?
So, okay. So Adam is a different brother. Alex is the brother that's dead. Adam is the brother who's still alive and is awesome and has a podcast with Lori's grunkle, which is great uncle. And, Lori's uncle, but JJ's great uncle. So Adam is awesome and he's going to testify.
I forgot this until right now. So on a dating app, your brother's picture came up on my dating app.
Oh,
And I sent him a message and said, but he had a different name that he used, not Adam. And so I just sent him a message and said if he was going to use someone else's pictures, he should probably pick someone different than
Mhm.
Adam Cox.
it's easy to get it mixed up. Uh-huh.
That's how I
Yep.
met him.
With Charles.
That's how you met my brother, Adam?
Correct.
Do you know what perjury is?
Absolutely.
No way, Lori. Oh, mother of God. Oh, mother of God. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
I object, Your Honor.
No.
Argumentative,
kidding.
harassment.
Argumentative.
Disgusting.
How
Lori,
long was
do
this
you know what a
conversation that you
murderer is,
had with
Lori?
my brother
Fucking.
at the pickleball tournament?
A couple of minutes, maybe less.
And how many times had you communicated with him before that?
Only that message
Wow.
on that dating app. Besides that,
One message, one time?
I don't remember. I think he messaged me back and it didn't continue.
So just the one day then?
Oh.
Maybe several messages in one day?
I might have sent him one other message, but it was just one interaction and there was nothing further.
And you did not schedule a date with him?
I did not.
Okay. Have you ever spoken to Brandon Boudreaux?
Yes,
Okay, when?
he attends the same church that my daughter does, and he
What
happened
is
to
Lori
be at
doing?
their house briefly, and I didn't really.
Okay, so yet another thing. So the jury has not heard about Brandon Boudreaux. I don't believe anyway. I know for sure when Idaho was said the other day, that was definitely the first. I'm fairly certain that Brandon Boudreaux was not spoke because that would be a huge problem because she's being tried for attempted murder on him after this. And I'm just, what is she doing?
really speak to him.
Like, in other words, technically, she's opening the door for the state to bring in the trial in Idaho and the crimes for Brandon Boudreaux.
I just knew that that's who he was.
Now
And
they may not do that. They may tread carefully, but technically, if this was a normal situation and she wasn't pro se, you better fucking believe the state would bring all that shit in because she's opened the door.
Did you know who he was?
Because my daughter told me.
Yeah, I mean, technically, that's opening. I mean, again, because she's pro se, but you better believe if that had been a regular attorney, they wouldn't. Well, they wouldn't have made the mistake. But let's just pretend it was a regular attorney. Then the state would be all over that. I mean,
And who did she say he was
Brandon Boudreaux.
in relation to me?
oh my god,
She knows the story and I know the story. So she just had to tell me that his name was Brandon Boudreaux.
oh my god, the story, the jury's dude.
That he was married to my niece?
Oh god,
Is that the information that you had?
I know that he was married to your niece, yes.
Okay. Just the association is all I was asking. And you did speak to him that time?
Well, I don't believe I spoke with him.
Okay. But you met him? Or
I don't know that I even met him. I was there. He was there with some other people and I knew that that's who that was.
So you didn't introduce yourself to him?
I did not.
Did you speak to any other law enforcement besides Miss K? Not that she's law enforcement, but did you speak to any other law enforcement about this case or be interviewed?
Yes.
Who? Who did you speak with?
Detective Moffat is who interviewed me. I believe that's, I might have left a message for him. I couldn't tell you who with, but the only one that I spoke to was Detective Moffat, Nathan Moffat.
And when was
the Jeep. Oh fuck, I'm trying to remember DSN. I think technically the Jeep was owned by Charles, but Tylee was driving it or something. And Brandon was driving some sort of like, I think he was driving a Tesla or something, if memory serves. I'll see if I can find that information out.
was that interview?
In 2020, I believe in April. A long time ago.
Okay. How long was that interview about?
It was a telephone interview and it lasted 45 minutes, I'd say.
Is that the only law enforcement that you spoke to besides the prosecutor?
Yes.
And how long between that interview with Detective Moffat and your first communications with Miss K, how much time passed in between there?
With Trina K.
Correct.
I met with her just
Okay. Yep.
a month ago.
Yeah. So yep, I was right. Wow, I can't believe I remembered that correctly. So Boudreaux had told investigators about a Jeep that Charles had purchased for Tylee. Yep. That's the Jeep. Now I don't see in here what vehicle he was driving. I'm pretty sure it was a Tesla. But yeah, that Jeep was one that Charles bought for Tylee. I can't believe I remembered that correctly. I mean, I haven't thought about that Jeep in for fucking ever. But I believe he said he was driving a Tesla. See if I can find that out too.
5 weeks ago. And I gave an interview in 2020. So
Is that the first communication you had with Miss K was 5 weeks ago?
yes.
Okay. Ms. Hancock, were you aware at the time of your date that I did not know that my husband was on dating websites and dating women?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Were you informed by him that I knew of the situation of us being separated?
He was under the impression you were having an affair. So him moving on was a natural
Fuck.
effect from that.
Oh,
you do that?
well, now here comes the door to Chad. Oh, Lord.
Yes, he did.
Oh, Lord. Oh, God.
Just to
Fuck.
recap,
Don't recap.
you said that you met my husband on Charles, on July 3rd. Is that correct?
Approximately. Give or take a day.
And you went on a date with him on July 10th.
Correct.
So that was what, 7 days later?
Approximately.
So would it be fair to say that you knew my husband for a week?
Approximately.
Okay. And then you had no contact with Charles after that, correct?
Well, he was dead. So clearly I didn't have contact with him.
Okay. And it wasn't until you saw that he had passed away on the news that you reached out to anyone. Is that correct?
Correct. I didn't know he was dead.
And that was about 6 months later? Is that correct?
I believe it was December. So July to December is 5 months, I believe.
Okay. And then you found Charles' sister, Kay Woodcock, my sister-in-law, yes?
Objection, asked and answered.
I'm just going over the timeline, Your Honor.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
So when is the then you're referring to?
So at the 5 months later that you said in December, after that is when you contacted Kay Woodcock?
To express my condolences for her brother passing away and wanted to let her know that I had had dinner with him that last night. And
Confirmed it was a Tesla. Wow. Got that right too. Amazing. I'm just, so it's so funny because I saw the question. I was like, "Oh, I don't remember." And then all of a sudden I'm like, now I'm thinking Charles bought it for Tylee and the Tesla. Anyway, just funny. All the details came back. But yeah, there it is. Tesla. Okay.
how much he loved JJ and how excited he was to see him the next morning. And just
Thank you. That's enough.
Oh my God. Lori. No, ma'am. Wow.
I'm just recapping here. And you contacted her through Facebook. Is that correct?
And again, asked and answered.
I don't think that was actually asked yet. Oh, overruled. Go ahead.
yes, as I said before, I contacted her through
You did
Facebook.
already say.
Okay. And then sent a few text messages. Is that correct?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
This is recap of everything we've already gone through.
Wow. Wow.
And then you said you
Four
met with
months.
police on April 22nd, 2020. Is that correct?
I didn't say April 22nd. I said I believed it was sometime in April.
Okay.
And I didn't meet with them. It was a telephone interview.
So she had 43. She's got 76 now. So that's, wait, did I do it? Hold on. 43. So 43 objections. Okay. She's elicited so far.
Okay.
Today. That's insanity.
And that was around 1 year after my husband passed away. Is that correct?
Well, July to April would be 10 months. So
No more questions, Your Honor.
Great.
All right, redirect.
Thank you.
Wow.
You, did you reach out to the police or did the police reach out to you after you learned Charles was?
I reached out to the police.
Um,
I was surprised given that if they'd seen his phone, they would see the text communication that we had had and that we had been at dinner that night before he died.
In terms of
I
speaking with
would love to
Charles
know what her advisory council is thinking when she's up there on cross.
his family, Kay Woodcock, did you know her before this?
No.
Had you heard her name through speaking with Charles?
Yes, from Charles. I knew that he had changed his life insurance to his sister Kay, and he talked quite a bit about Kay and his love for her and the relationship with JJ and how they had adopted JJ.
So you understood the closeness he had with his sister.
Absolutely.
And you said you reached out to pay your condolences.
I did.
When you learned that Charles was dead, were you shocked?
Of course.
I was watching the TV and it was talking about a case and his picture came on the screen and shocked is an understatement. Yes.
In terms of talking with Kay, have you ever tried to talk to other people to learn about or verify if the stuff that Charles told you was accurate?
No.
Is what you are telling us just what he told you?
What I'm telling you is part of what he told me. There's a lot more.
And did you tell the police all of what he told you? That you could remember at that time, I should say.
I believe, no, I thought I would probably be interviewed again and it was more an ask-answer format. There was, I remember being surprised that I wasn't interviewed again.
Because Charles had shared so much with you.
Correct.
In terms of the defendant's brother, Adam, did you ever talk with him about the case?
No,
Through media, did you recognize him?
I
as-
recognized him because I'd seen him on reports. And I knew that he was going to be testifying in this hearing.
When did you see him? When was this interaction
Like
at this
a
pickleball?
week and a half ago.
So a week and a half ago, when you see him at a pickleball tournament with
Mhm.
your grandkid, you say hi to him.
Basically.
You don't talk at all about the case.
We might have talked about that we were testifying. I don't know. No details for sure.
Okay.
Just a general, and then he saw who my grandson was and the end.
So nothing about,
And-
hey, I'm going to say this, or
Mm,
Charles
absolute-
told me this.
Absolutely not.
I know, me too.
When you and I met, did we go through your testimony? Or let me get this straight. Did we go through what you told the police?
Yeah.
Did I indicate to you to just tell the truth,
You told me to tell the truth,
whatever that was?
whatever that was.
You were asked about the fact that you knew Charles for basically a week, right?
Correct.
Did he make an impression on you?
Charles was a large personality. It would be hard not to be impressed by his wit and just gregarious, big personality with a Southern accent.
You were asked a lot on cross about you dating a married man.
Correct.
What was your impression of where this relationship was between Charles and Lori Vallow when you and Charles started talking?
Well, I knew that they had separated and that they had reconciled, and I knew he had filed, and then he had recanted that. But he also had met with an attorney to begin the process again, and was very emphatic that he was done with all the craziness.
And was that last time something that you understood to be very recent?
Prior to us meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
When he's talking to you, he's telling you about, you said sort of the whole year of 2019, correct? But this last understanding that you had of him now going back to a divorce lawyer,
Same.
was that something you understood to be very recent in time to that July 10th when you're meeting?
Correct.
And did you understand him to have even met with an attorney?
I believe he told me that, yes.
So that was where you were at.
Yes.
And that's what you understood Charles to be at.
Yes, and I will say, after having dinner with him, I did tell him that no one would want to be serious with him until he was further along in accomplishing that divorce that he was in the process of, including myself.
So even though you knew he was just barely starting now, did you still want to meet with him again?
Yeah, I wouldn't have entertained a serious relationship, but he was fun, and yeah, I would have met with him again.
I have no other questions, Jennifer.
Are there any questions for this witness from the jury? I see at least one question coming down. I think we have our white noise. Our
Jury ask questions?
Yep.
Okay. Got all that sound, huh, guys? They go on break. Okay, they go away. They go away.
All right, members of the jury, we're going to take a little bit of an earlier recess than our normal afternoon recess at this time. Please remember your attention.
And let's look at whatever questions they have can't be asked. My guess is they're probably like, who was the other woman? Who's Brandon Boudreaux? What was the situation around Lori? Because there was something about that. Yeah. Just like I think there so far, the only other time that there was a question that wasn't asked was with that witness on cross-exam who said Idaho. And I made a joke at the time, but it's entirely possible that somebody in the jury said, wait, what testimony in Idaho? Can't ask it.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Christina Atwood.
Okay, new.
How old are you, Christina?
I'm 52.
If you can get just a little closer, you're very soft to the,
Well, I
52.
don't
thank you. And I know you want to say that.
she testified at the other trials. I don't remember her from being in the crazy group. So this is a new friend of Lori's, to my knowledge, that I'm seeing.
Do you live here in Arizona?
Yes,
Did you live here in Arizona in 2019?
I did.
Are you from here?
Not originally.
How long have you been in Arizona?
2009.
I want to start by asking you a little bit about some personal part of your life. Are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Yes,
Were you raised in that religion?
I was.
As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, did you ever meet Lori Vallow?
I did.
Do you recall sort of where you first met her? Start with that.
At church.
And do you recall approximately when you first met her?
We moved into that area in 2010, and I'm not sure if their family was there at that time or not, but
Sometime after that?
yes,
What was her? Christina. Okay, Christina Atwood.
And did you know her husband, Charles Vallow?
yes,
Was that also through church?
yes,
Did you initially, well, let me start. Did you know they were married?
yes.
Did you have more contact with one over the other?
More with Lori than with Charles.
And why was that?
My
No, and
sons-
that's just as if they needed any other similarities, right? You're right. Lots of friends, just like Wendy. Kane, welcome, welcome. Jury. Oh, okay. You must have heard that from like somebody in the courtroom, like Nate Eaton. Interesting. I mean, okay, that's interesting. You know, the reason that they probably couldn't ask that though is because she already the witness already answered that question, right? Essentially, like she explained his demeanor and his concerns about Lori and whatnot. And that testimony came naturally without that direct question being asked specifically. So I can see why that wasn't asked, but thank you so much for clarifying that, DSN. Okay. Thank you. I figured as much. Love Nate Eaton. Shout out to Nate Eaton. Also just maybe a quick little Wendy break here.
I want to send some text sort of canceling my plan.
Oops.
I want to send some text sort of canceling my plans. Like actually at 6:30 I was supposed to be at a party by now.
We
so
know,
I can't tell.
dude. I cannot with
Uh,
her.
yes.
Speaking of friends, here's Wendy's new
Yesterday I
friend.
was taking a walk around 5. I met a new friend. We went to Tallahassee food trucks.
Wow.
Last night, hung out with her for hours.
Yeah.
Wendy made another new friend. Are you fucking kidding me?
She
Why?
also Googled. There was a shooting, do you know?
I know.
Both she and John.
Stop.
Why would they
I'm
Google?
going to die.
Why would that just
Dude,
come
I'm
up?
going. Sorry, Heather. Heather says, "I met a new friend on a walk. Bitch, how old are you?" Also, shout out to Heather. Wow. Yeah, all the friends.
And husband had interaction with Lori through the primary program. And I didn't have much interaction with her before they
Shout
moved to
out to the
Hawaii.
rat daddy.
But when her and Charles had moved to Hawaii, we went on a trip and we
Gwen,
stopped to
love
visit,
it.
and Charles was not
Love
at
it.
home. And so we interacted with Lori on that trip.
Do you see Lori Vallow at that time in the courtroom today?
I'm sorry, what was that?
See Lori Vallow in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you point her out and identify what she's wearing?
Purple top and suit coat, dark suit coat.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
It shall.
Gosh, no.
Okay, so you told us that you met Lori and Charles through the church. Do you know how long you went to church with them before they moved to Hawaii?
I don't recall what year they moved, but I know that we moved to the area in 2010 and we went and visited in 2015.
And that's you visited them in
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, I think
Other than that,
I think I've used up all my extra emoji slots, but do you have something in mind?
well, let me ask you, when you visited Lori in Hawaii, were her kids there with her?
Oh,
You said they lived there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so did you know at that time how many children were living with Lori and Charles?
2,
Who were they?
JJ and Tylee. I don't know if Tylee was there that weekend. She may have been gone. It may have just been JJ.
But you were familiar with them having those 2 children?
Yes.
Residing with them? Is
Oh,
that-
and I also had known her son before they moved to Hawaii, was in our ward as well. But
and
he
Colby?
wasn't living in Hawaii, I don't believe.
That was, do you know if that was Colby?
Yes,
Was he a son from a prior marriage?
yes,
Did you know any of Charles's children from a prior marriage?
no.
When you went to Hawaii and saw Lori and JJ, how long did you spend a day or weeks? How long were you visiting them?
We visited on a Sunday afternoon for an hour or 2, and then sometime in that week, we got together for a couple of hours on the ocean, just paddleboarding, and that was it.
Oh my God. Have any of you guys gone paddleboarding? It is so much harder than it looks. Just saying.
Had social interactions with Lori and Charles prior to going to Hawaii?
Not anything of other than waving or saying hello or something, no.
So mostly it would have been prior to that tied to any church activities or
Right.
things like that?
By the way, DSN, I got something for you.
Did you at some point learn that Lori and Charles had moved back to Arizona?
Pausing it real quick. I just got to show you guys this. Y'all are going to thank me, especially DSN. I know you're going to love this, especially. Okay, y'all ready? This is for Karen Reed related, but this is just real quick. I found this online. Pretty fucking funny. Look what somebody made. Oh my God. And I don't know how the fuck they did this. And look, it says anti-judge Bev, Queen of the Cape. I'll allow it. And then it says, I need the weekends edition. Look at this. Oh my God. And even the little sayings. This is funny, Miss Reed. Mr. Lolly, do you object? And look, it's even got the Arca dude in the heart. Oh my God. Shut the fuck up, Mr. Jackson. Isn't this hilarious? I'll put it in the Discord too. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Absolutely freaking amazing. Incredible. So I just had to. Yeah, I'll put that in the Discord too. So any of you guys that want to have it to do, share it or whatever you want to do, you can do that. I didn't make it, by the way. I did not make it. I just found it. I just saw it online when I was looking to see if there were any updates there. Okay. Paddleboarding because walking on water was too mainstream. Is that a Jeff reference or a Chad? Jesus. Take my money. I need this. I don't know that it's for sale. I mean, I guess I could check and see if somebody's made this or if they just somehow made this with a, like, I don't even know how one, it looks like it's a real thing, right? Like an action figure. Isn't it amazing? I mean, it's so good, right? Like phenomenal. Look at the tiny hands. And I love the little heart up top. Incredible. Oh, dude, if you take a look, check it out. Check this out. All the details. Her little, whatever you call this thing to crush the ice or whatever it does, it says "We the People." It looks like it's a rolled up Constitution of the United States or something like that. That is really fucking funny. Queen of the Cape. I'll allow it. Oh my God. So good. So good. I mean, I hope that somebody can make this and produce it for sale for sure. Yeah, when I saw that, Kane, it looks like it's the same brand that made my J.S. Bach action figure, which I have right here beside me. I saw that and I was like, oh my God, it's got to be the same people. So, okay.
Yes.
How did you learn that?
I'm not positive if it was that I ran into them in the temple, because I recall one time seeing them both at the temple.
And do you recall if that was around 2018?
Like, yes.
When you said you ran into them, you're saying both Charles and Lori, you saw at the temple.
Yes.
And so you learned they're back in Arizona at this point. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you ever have Lori ask you to go with her to Hawaii?
Yes, she did invite me.
Do you recall when that was?
I believe it was the fall or late summer 2018, but I'm not positive.
Do you recall ever do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Yes.
And were you interviewed by a couple different detectives?
Yes.
In April of 2021, do you remember speaking with a detective, Ron Ball?
Yes.
And do you remember telling him that sort of the beginning of the year of 2019 is when Lori asked you if you wanted to go to Hawaii?
Could have been. Yep.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Did she tell you why she wanted to go to Hawaii?
No, I don't recall.
Let me ask you this. When you spoke with the police back in 2020, was your memory better at that point about all of what
For
was going
sure.
on? Now that it's 2025, has your memory faded as to some of the details?
Yes.
Would listening to a portion of your interview about that help potentially refresh your recollection?
Yes.
And Your Honor, if I can
Refresh your recollection.
listen to this portion and see if that refreshes your recollection as to why Lori was asking you to go to Hawaii and when.
Okay, you're gonna listen on the thingies.
The time period in January.
Okay.
Is that you talking to the detective about this sort of time period in January where Lori's asking you to go to Hawaii and there's a lot of things going on there?
Yes, I recall that. I actually remembered the invitation being prior to that, and what I was referring to there was something else.
So there was a prior time you had gone to Hawaii to see Lori and a prior invite, correct?
No, I just gone in 2015 with my family.
Okay.
That's the only time
That you went there with.
that I went there. Yes.
Okay. So having listened to that recording, did it refresh your recollection about Lori inviting you to Hawaii in sort of the January of 2019 period?
Yes, but I didn't say there that I was invited to go, and I thought that that was previous to that time. But at some point in either the fall or the spring, there, I thought it was the fall winter. She invited me to go to Hawaii,
Okay.
and I wasn't able to go.
When, well, let me ask you. So in January of 2019, did Lori reach out to you about some things that were going on in her life?
Yes,
Did she talk to you about her marriage?
she shared that she was upset with Charles.
And did she indicate whether or not she was still living with him?
She had indicated that she was not with him at the time.
Did she indicate that she had gone to Hawaii?
Yes,
And did she indicate that she was not telling anyone that she was there?
Bermuda.
She indicated that she was keeping it, that there wasn't very many people she was sharing it with. Yes.
Did she indicate that Charles was back in Texas?
Yes.
Did she indicate that Charles had JJ with him in Texas?
Yes.
Did she indicate that her daughter Tylee was staying with her brother Alex?
Yes.
Did she indicate that Charles had tried to take her temple recommend away, and this was one of the reasons she left?
Yes.
The temple recommend.
And was it her, did she tell you that
She's
she
subject
didn't want Charles to know where she was?
I don't recall.
So if you had said that to the police back in April of 2021, would your memory have been better?
For
back then?
sure.
Bad.
Do you contest that you told the police back then that she was trying to make sure that Charles didn't know where she was?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Would you, if you had told the police back in April of 2021 that Lori told you she didn't want Charles to know where she was, would you have been truthful back then?
For
telling
sure.
them
Yes.
that? Do you know how long she stayed in Hawaii?
I don't.
Did you ever become aware of her going to Idaho as well?
No, not until
Right.
December of 2019.
Do you know how long she stayed, how long she didn't let Charles know where she was?
I don't recall.
At some point, did you learn she was back in Arizona?
Yes.
Did she reach out to you to invite you to any groups?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Do you recall approximately when the first time it was that you met with her in some group format in 2019?
I believe it was spring 2019, maybe February.
And do you recall, were there other people at that meeting?
Yes.
Do you recall who was there?
Yes.
Who was it?
Zulema, Melanie Gibb,
Mhm.
Nicole Earl, and Serena Sharp.
Who organized that? Or who invited you? Let me ask that. Did Lori invite you or did one of these other women invite you?
I don't recall.
Do you recall whose house it was at?
It was at Zulema's.
And did you know at that time if Lori and Charles were still separated?
Could you say that
Sure.
again?
Did you know at this meeting if Lori and Charles were still separated, living in different homes?
Yes, I believe so.
Did you know who was caring for JJ at that time?
Yes, I believe she was at Alex's.
JJ?
Oh, sorry, JJ. I believe JJ was in Texas.
Still with Charles?
Hmm.
And that's a yes?
Yes.
And then you said Tylee was still staying with her uncle Alex?
Yes.
Did you know where Lori was living at that time?
With Alex.
What's 3, Keen?
Had you met these other women prior to this meeting in February-ish of 2019?
The only other person that I knew was Nicole Earl.
So this was the first time you were meeting the person whose house it was at, Zulema?
Correct.
The first time that you were meeting Melanie Gibb?
Correct.
And the first time you said Serena, is that Serena Sharp?
Correct.
What's a switchover?
Was there anything that Lori said at this meeting in February-ish of 2019 that she said about Charles that stood out to you?
She was concerned about dark spirits plaguing him.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Did she in fact tell you that he was possessed by dark spirits?
I don't recall.
Did you recall talking to the police, again, back in April of 2021, and advising them that this is the first time you're hearing that Charles is possessed?
If I said it then yes.
When you were meeting on this weekend, or this weekend, what do you remember about this group meeting? Was it a night, a weekend? How was that?
It was an evening. We may have met twice in the evening that weekend.
Did you know where Serena was from? Like, did she live locally?
She did not. She was visiting from out of state.
Very interesting.
When you were meeting at these in February of 2019, do you recall telling police that Lori was talking about Charles being dark or having a dark spirit?
Yes.
And you recall saying that he was possessed and she had a name for who he was possessed by?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Sure.
Ned
You recall
Schneider.
telling the police
Ned
that he was
Schneider.
possessed, and she had a name for who he was possessed by.
I don't recall, but believe that I said it.
Would listening to your recording help refresh your recollection as to that?
Yes.
Your Honor, if we can have her listen to Exhibit 200.
Go ahead.
I know the sound is terrible. They don't have the audio back on yet. It's so annoying. But we know it's going to be Ned Schneider anyway. Wow. Come on, Court TV, get it together. Wow. Wow. Does it not come? Hold on. Does it not come back? So let me see. Luckily, because I have the closed captioning on, let me just go ahead a little bit. Okay, there it is. There it is. There's closed captioning. Hang on. So it does come back.
Serena in a way that you overhear.
Okay, here we go.
During that meeting, did you overhear Lori talking about Serena in a way that also disturbed you?
Yes.
What do you recall of that?
It was just very negative, and that she didn't believe that Serena was going to be good after all, something to that effect.
Who is Serena?
So
I don't
prior
remember. who
to
Serena is. Do we know?
that meeting, Serena had been at the meeting at Zulema's house,
Yes,
Okay.
just the one.
and she had been on a Zoom meeting maybe.
Yes.
And then this meeting in June, she was
was not.
not. She was not. And at that point, Lori seemed to be
Passed
talking
out.
negative of her.
Correct.
She's lucky to be alive, Serena.
When you talked to Lori about these statements that you had heard Alex say and her say on the 9th, did you continue to meet up with Lori after that?
No.
Did Lori ever invite you to any more of these gatherings or prayers?
I was invited one time to go for lunch.
When was that?
I believe August.
So between June and August, you did not receive any other invitations?
No.
Did you at some point learn that Charles had been killed?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
I received a text message that he had been killed.
And who did you think had killed Charles?
Originally, when I received the message, I believed it was a brother-in-law of his. And so it was some time before I realized that Alex had been involved.
So initially you had said when you met with Lori that you would go to the police, but when you learned Charles was killed, your understanding was it was someone else.
Correct.
So when you learned it was Alex, what was going through your head then?
I had somebody who had visited with Lori about it and had said that
Not going into their hearsay. Let me just
okay.
ask you this. Had you spoken to
You're saying it though.
someone who was passing along information to you of what they understood had happened?
yes,
The shooting of Charles by Alex was about a month after you had heard him say he wanted to kill Charles, correct?
yes,
Did you feel like after you confronted Lori that she distanced herself from you?
yes,
Did that seem to be the same as what you heard and saw happening with Serena?
I don't know.
Okay. On the 9th, you had heard Lori talking negative about Serena, correct?
Yes,
And she hadn't been invited to that meeting.
she lived out of state, so it wasn't surprised that she wasn't invited.
Had she flown in for a previous meeting though?
Yes,
So
just the one, the initial one.
in terms of your interactions with Lori, did she ever tell you that she was joking about her husband being possessed?
No,
Did she ever tell you she was joking about him having this dark spirit inhabiting him?
no,
And did she ever, you told us that she told you there was a name for the spirit that you don't recall now, correct?
yes,
Did she ever tell you she was joking about that?
no.
No other questions. Thank you.
All right, Cross.
No questions, Your Honor.
Oh,
Are there any questions for this
Weird.
witness from the jury?
huh. That's
Not seeing
interesting.
any.
Lori
Mary,
didn't cross her. Very weird. Huh. Okay. Interesting. What happens now? And that's it. Oh my God. So that's what a day. Holy shit. Interesting. So that is very interesting. I mean, for real, Candace, what kind of dark spirit is fucking named Ned? I mean, right? Interesting. So this was even a shorter day than I figured. I mean, it's obviously it was only 5 hours, but I didn't even anticipate like all the sidebars. Like, what a short day. So we got through this really quickly. I mean, we didn't watch all of that testimony from Daniel Coons, but I mean, we only skipped the last little bit where it got super repetitive on redirect. Wow. Okay. So interestingly enough, though, I was just looking at the different feeds for this upcoming day, and I don't know if they're supposed to be starting earlier, because like Law and Crime has it scheduled for starting in like 22 minutes, and then Court TV has it scheduled for like 1 o'clock. So I don't know. Do y'all know anything about that? Are they coming in early, or does anybody know, or is it just because they're gonna have the feed up and music playing? I was inhabited by a dark spirit named Chuck. Oh my God. But so Colby actually is testifying. I don't know anything else. Let's do this. I have an idea. I was thinking of doing this anyway. So let's do this, because nobody will know better than Nate Eaton what the dealio is. So let's take a look at this from last night.
It was hot outside, and boy, was it hot inside the courtroom. This was
Nate is just great. I love that. I didn't mean for that to rhyme.
a day. We have so much to discuss. If you're into this case, which I think most of you are, you want to go back and watch the witness testimony. You want to watch today. We put the whole thing on YouTube and broken it up into the different witnesses. So you can go check that out. Would love to know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, we'll get to your questions at the end
Colby's
of
doing so
the
well.
program tonight. Our moderator, Peggy, is standing by ready to go. So let's just jump into it. The quote of the day.
Her stupid troll hairdo. I love that she went back to that. I hope she keeps it, because the head bobble with the hair is great. Nate is so refreshing with his style and compassion. Couldn't agree more. I absolutely adore him.
Don't flatter yourself.
If
you missed it, we'll get into
what I learned about him. I have to just say shout out to Gigi from Pretty Lies and Alibis, because early on with this whole case, right, long time ago, it was like when the showing up, Hawaii, right? They were arrested or being brought back from Hawaii. And I didn't know who Nate Eaton was. And I only knew who Gigi was because she was also covering Murdoch really closely, right? And so then Gigi would start talking about this case. And so I was like, of course I was like, okay, yeah, I want to know. And so she said she was talking about Nate and how speaking so highly of him because of how he was showing up there on the tarmac, hounding her. Lori, where are the kids? Lori, where are the kids? Lori, where are the kids? And it was like at that. And I was like, I gotta know who Nate is, right? So anyway, that's just my memory. That's how I learned about Nate. And, of course, he's been amazing ever since. Oh, thank you, DSN. Phoenix Fox channel streaming it, and some dude, Jeremy, is the host. Excellent commentary between. Right. There's a 30-minute delay for everybody, though. So that's why it's weird that the times are different. It used to be that everybody was at 2 o'clock, right? Like all the different stations or whatever, channels. But now the variety is interesting from just, the Law and Crime and Court TV. Do you see what time it says for Phoenix Fox there, DSN? Like how many hours from now? Because of the different time zones, it just gets too confusing. Yeah, Lori, where are the children? Although I feel like, him being inside the courtroom, he might know and say what the plan is if they're like coming in earlier. Let's
do it just a minute. Lori questions the witnesses. Here's what we've got coming up. Lori is fired up. The fired up Lori we saw with Keith Morrison during her interview a few weeks ago, and the fired up Lori that we've heard about, the passionate one that, really wants to get her word in. We saw that. Boy, did we see that today. We also saw her cross-examine Detective Daniel Coons. This was the Chandler detective who was on the stand yesterday with the prosecution.
Why does court start at 11? Like, huh? How does it still start at 11? Like their time? Like, how does it start at 11 their time though? Oh, 10:30 in court. Yeah, but still, that's so late though. What the hell is up with that? Usually it's 8:30 or 9. That is insanity. I've never, ever, 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 ever heard of that. Weird. Huh.
And then Lori began cross-examining him yesterday, and it continued on to this morning. After that, we heard from Nancy Jo Hancock. She's the woman who said, don't flatter yourself. I'll play the clip. She went out with Charles Vallow the night before he was killed. and went on a date with him.
thank you.
They had met through a website, through a dating service
I
online.
don't know. Well, I'm sure he's going to say it. I wonder if Colby's is up next, like first for the day. But thanks, guys, for that insight. So the courtroom's being inspected. That's wild.
And they went out together, and you'll hear from her coming up here in just a minute. We have Christina Atwood. Christina was a member of Lori's LDS congregation and actually went to a couple of gatherings that Lori held, including where they casted the evil spirits out of Charles. And she actually confronted Lori about what Lori was doing, and also the fact that Lori was crushing up JJ's medication into Charles's drinks and trying to kill him, it sounds like. So we'll hear from her in a minute. Of course, we'll remember Charles, and we will take your questions. We'll do a couple shout outs, and we will talk about where you're watching from. We're having people all over the world watch this broadcast, which is pretty amazing. I want to begin by just kind of walking through what happened today. So Lori began the day right away, right off the top, with the jurors coming in. We didn't lose any jurors, so thank goodness for that. And she started asking questions about the shooting and if the detective Coons was there at the scene when Charles was shot. Of course he wasn't, but here's the line of questioning that Lori began her today with.
Where did y'all see that Colby was going to be testifying today? Oh, thank you, Iowa. Okay. Oh, I thought somebody said he was testifying. Oh, okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Okay, I see. Okay. I see. Okay. Not that he's testifying. Okay. Thanks, guys, for clarifying. For some reason, that was my fault. I interpreted that as him testifying. Or maybe because we were also talking about Adam testifying. I don't know. My wires got crossed. Okay. He's just going to watch. Gotcha. Okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So then I don't know. So if he doesn't have any inside scoop, okay. I mean, I know he has the inside scoop, but let's just see what he says. We don't need to watch the testimonies. We just watched.
Detective Coons, you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Here we go.
If someone very muscular like my husband were 2 to 4 feet away from you holding up.
Noticed in Charles, and Lori was insinuating, wondering if the fabric on the shirt that Charles was wearing could have maybe.
Hold on. I definitely want to see. Okay. Let me just see what he says at the end here, because he's probably going to talk about what he knows to expect. Let's just see. Oh, that is so sad.
Idaho, they're sponsoring Courtroom Insider. We appreciate their support and all they do to help us so that we can bring this program to you every night so that I can be here in Arizona.
I wonder if he went to support Adam and Kay. Interesting.
Otherwise, I have to be home, not covering this. Here are some shout outs. We have Kelly Anderson, Ty Bond, Robin.
What I will say, though, is this, that if he's going to travel to come and attend one day, I would think that if he's going to be called as a witness, it would be, you know what I mean, instead of making 2 trips. So, I wonder if maybe he's going to be testifying tomorrow. Do y'all have any insight to that?
Booton, Michael Chambers, Becky Martin, Tim Fiddlephone.
Whoa.
Tim Fiddlephone. I love that name, Tim. There was more to that, I think, Peggy. What did Tim want? You'll have to remind me. I think Tim sent me a message. Tim, I don't remember what your message was. Donna Rupert, Elizabeth Wells from Connecticut, watches faithfully with Rhonda Allen in Virginia. What part of Virginia?
Are you saying the pictures here, or are there more at the end? Or okay, maybe that was the part. Hold on, let me go back a little bit. Oh, there's the dog Bailey. Okay, let's take a look.
This dog. And
it's so fucking sad. I have a hard time.
I was can't wait to see him. And here's a wonderful picture of him teaching JJ how to ride a bike with his helmet on. And sadly, they're not together here, but hopefully they're reunited somewhere. And we remember and honor Charles and JJ tonight, who this whole trial is unfortunately all about. And so we hope for justice. And that's why every night we try to do Courtroom Insider to take a minute and remember them. Okay, we have several shout outs and we have several questions before
we'll skip the shout outs. No offense to the people.
Message. Tim, I don't remember what your message was. Dog is warm and it's so nice though. And I'm loving it. Let me get to your questions. Joyce, did Lori
so is he not testifying though? Colby, I mean?
Show expression when Nancy testified. Well, we heard expression. Sadly, the cameras, we only see the back of her head. So I couldn't see her face, but Nancy kept it calm. I'm sure Lori had a lot of expression on her face, but again, I couldn't see. And the only one who can really see is the judge and the witness, and the jurors can too from the side.
Okay, thanks, Happy.
If Alex had done CPR, wouldn't there be blood on his hands? Kathy says. Great point, Kathy. the question about that was kind of brought up from the testimony of the other witnesses the past few days, that normally if someone's been shot and someone has CPR, they're spewing up blood, there's a bloody scene, there's something about blood, and there was none of that with Charles, or with Alex. Yeah, his hands were clean. There could have been blood elsewhere in the home. There could have been, especially if he was attacked too, but the only blood was the pool beneath Charles and then a little bit on the tap in the kitchen. Nancy Jo was on fire. Can you try to land an interview with her, from Angela? I think that would be great. I'd love to talk with Nancy Jo. I did kind of try to catch her eye as she was leaving the courtroom, and she kind of nodded at me. I don't know if she knew who I was or if I was just a weirdo trying to catch her eye. But
Nate, look at Nate being so humble. She definitely does, because it's clear that she's seen the media surrounding this. She already knew who everyone else was. She definitely knows who Nate was. But look at him being so humble. See, I freaking love him. And
interview with her, from Angela. I think that would be great. I'd love to talk with Nancy Jo. I did kind of try to catch her eye as she was leaving the courtroom, and she kind of nodded at me. I don't know if she knew who I was or if I was just some weirdo trying to catch her eye. But regardless, yeah, I'd love to talk with her. Matt says, I was a cameraman years ago and all the violence and sadness of the news started to get to me. How are all of you handling the third year of the Daybell's trial? Not only must you deal with this darkness, but so many other stories. How do you deal with this and not take it home to your families? There is a lot of violence. There's a lot of sadness of news. I kind of talked about this yesterday. There's also a lot of goodness and a lot of hope and a lot of really wonderful people. And that is honestly how I get through these trials. But please, I mean, the police go through this every day. The prosecution team, the people that see these bodies. I'm here reporting, and it can be physically and emotionally and mentally draining. But there's so many people who go through so much worse. So yeah, I'm not asking you to feel bad, but I will say, this morning I was exhausted. I didn't sleep well. Got up, went for a run, got to the courthouse, went down there with Jordan, and it's just like the kind people, like many of you, that come up and say,
did y'all notice that he looks like he's lost weight? I've been thinking it. I haven't said it. I don't know if it's on purpose, but it might be. But anyway, it sounds like he's going running. Maybe I don't know if it's. I mean, I love running. You know, not everybody that runs, is running to lose weight. But I wonder if that was what was going on. I mean, I don't think he was ever I don't think he was ever overweight. Anyway, I'm just saying. It's funny because he looks skinnier to me, and he just said he got up and went for a run before going to court. So yeah, you noticed it too. I mean, right? It's just insane. It is so the similarities, and then even the whole thing about having to cancel. Lori was like, "Oh, I'm not going to get invited to the pool party," and then Wendy's like, "Didn't get to go her stock at the bar." There's so many. I've been keeping track because it's kind of scary. It started when I first noticed that their names end with an I, and then it's just taken off from there. Absolutely. Nate looks on the bright side and focuses on others who have it worse. Absolutely. He's been running for years. Happy Annie has all the inside deets on this. I love it. I did not know he's been running for years, but that's awesome. Thank you. I mean, he looks great. I mean, he's always looked great, but yeah.
Hi, that want to talk, that say that you follow our work, our reporting at East Idaho News, and just makes it happy. So thank you. We're doing this all for you. I have a question no one seemed to notice about Alex. This is from Linda. Lori said in her opening statement that Alex was awakened by the shouting and came out of the bedroom, pulling up his jeans and shirtless. I listened 2 times to make sure I heard it correctly. You did. She did say something about that, the jeans and shirtless. Yet, how did he end up with the sunglasses on his head? That's the question. Something I'd never thought of before. It was asked. So something in that 40-minute period, did he go in and out of the house? Did he put on his sunglasses? Did he leave the home and come back? All of that is a good question. We'll never know. There weren't cameras. Would have been amazing if there had been a cell phone or a Ring doorbell camera at that house just to see what that would have shown. My question is, in all the melee that led to the horrible.
Oh my God, DSN. DSN says, I love my sister, but I'd never kill someone for her unless they were dark. Well said. Well done.
How did Alex manage to get on a t-shirt and not get blood from his head wound on it? Great follow-up question. Whether it was self-defense or not, a lot was happening in a short time, according to the defense. All police videos show the t-shirt just gray, even not much sweat. Thoughts? The witnesses were asked about that yesterday by Trina K. Was Alex sweating? Was he bloody? Did he appear frantic? Did he appear stressed? Did he appear any of that? No. They said he was very nonchalant. He was chill. There wasn't any sweat on him. There wasn't any, sweat off of his forehead or whatever. He was just very casual, like, a pizza was there with him, but also dabbing his head with the paper towel from where he was apparently hit. Do we know if jurors are members of the same church that Lori was? Kiana asks. We don't know. They don't ask their religious preferences. They did ask in jury selection. They did mention that there will be talk of religious aspects. In fact, Trina did say the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Do any of you have strong opinions for or against the church? And none of them did. I don't know the population of LDS in Maricopa County. Yeah, LDS versus non-LDS, Mormon versus non-Mormon. But I would think there'd be 1 or 2 on the jury. If there's not, then they surely
I
know
thought
as
it was
members of
supposed
the
to have a
church.
lot of people.
It's possible for Chad to be watching the trial, Stevie asks. I strongly doubt it. They don't get like court TV. They don't get internet in the prison on death row. I bet if it was on like NBC, like a mainstream channel, they could possibly, but I don't think they do. Did Nancy Jo have any sort of legal background? She was very aware of the legal system, it appeared. Michelle asked that. I don't know. I don't know really anything about Nancy Jo other than today. One of you or a few of you did some research and sent me some information. You found that she was a very strong family woman, that she, was actively involved in the community with her family, but I don't know much more than that. Will East Idaho News be making t-shirts out of bamboo? Ha ha, ride the guy. I don't think so, especially if they're $200 t-shirts. We're not going to charge you $200 for a t-shirt, but I say this every night, tomorrow or maybe Friday.
Here, and she's a new member. Welcome. Love it. Remember, we've got custom emoji there that you have access to, as well as tons of other perks. We love the member stuff. No TV for him. Yeah, nothing. So, I mean, I don't remember. See, when the thing is, so again, since I heard about it from Gigi and she mentioned it, it would have been after the tarmac thing. But anyway, regardless, I clearly have not, I just haven't heard him mention the running thing. And she gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. That's awesome. We love it. And hopefully we may have even unlocked the ability to do some more custom emoji, which is always a good thing. And for anyone who has noticed, if you guys look at your badge, the 2-month badge, that is legit squeaky. Iowa's squeaky, and Iowa's here right now. So that is a very special squirrel. It is a squirrel that is near and dear to one of our squirrels that are near and dear to the squirrel crew. So I think many of you guys probably, I can't see it on StreamYard, but many of you guys probably have the squeaky badge. So
do an episode of Courtroom Insider. I'm debating whether to do one on Friday because there shouldn't be court, although there might be an extra hearing we're hearing about with Lori. So if there is, we'll for sure do one. But I have so many photos you all have sent me wearing our East Idaho News shirts. So thank you. I'll show you some of those later this week. Jennifer says, do more people attend the trial than there are seats? On day 1, yes. Today there were some extra seats.
Do you really? Does your squirrel named Larry live inside? Oh my God. Can you put pictures in the Discord, please? Oh my God. I want a pet squirrel.
It's probably maybe 5 to 10 extra seats. But once it's full, it's full. And there wasn't an issue today. There might be tomorrow. I don't know. Are the witnesses on standby to be called back later to testify? The judge just dismisses them without any questions.
So
I noticed that as well. And I will have to find that out. In Idaho, the judge would say, can they be released from their subpoena? I would imagine that they are still under their subpoena the duration of the trial. And so I would assume that they have to be on standby in case no one wants to call them back.
It's so funny, right? In some trials, they do ask that question with every witness, and in others, they don't. I would say more often than not, I hear them not ask that question. But whichever they do, it's usually consistent with every witness. Interesting.
But maybe they don't during the defense portion, but maybe they don't. If you're a legal person in Arizona, message me and let me know. Did they check anyone's hands for gun residue? Chrissy
I think it might be. I would imagine that's just a decision. Like it could just. I wouldn't think it's a rule, right? I think it just varies by the court, right? I mean, judge. I think some judges might make it their regular practice, and others don't. Or prosecutors could ask.
Yes, we talked about that earlier. They did not. Why aren't we allowed to hear the jury questions? Well, it depends on the judge. If the judge believes that the question is relevant and both sides.
It's a question that the judge asks. No, yeah, it's a question that the judge asks the prosecutor. So
I agree it's relevant and should be asked. We hear it. If not, we don't. We did hear one today. Kelly, why did the police not start CPR on Charles when they arrived? Surely they should have started it even though Alex wasn't doing something, was not doing it. They are trained to know if someone.
Miss Mandy says, I saw Robert Leslie and Emily D. Baker stream the other day, and it was verified to actually be him. The same one who has been here? I can't fathom that. For anyone who doesn't know, there's Robert Leslie has shown up for many of these live streams. Karen Reed, but also he showed up for a Idaho v. Koberger stream, had never heard of the case. And, yeah, I think you were here one time when he was here. Yeah, he's been. Has anybody in the chat, any of y'all here? He's been here many times. In fact, I made a command, this command here. I did not make this because, while it is funny, I made this for him, but somebody in the chat said, oh, it's the real dude. And then I figured it wasn't, right? So I literally made this command. I'm not even joking. And I did this. I made this command while he was in the chat. Okay. And then I played this.
Hard as a rock, Freeze thaw effects on penetrometer resistance. You know, his head's as hard as a rock.
And whoever it was that said they said they loved it. They loved their command and they loved the clip. And you were here, Happy Annie? Yeah, I mean, I just assumed I was just going along with it because I was like, haha. But like he popped in the chat. I think I have some of it timestamped, like for some of them, but he came back so many times that I ended up not timestamping all of them. But like the first couple times I think I timestamped it. And like literally he was like TLDR, like what's the deal with Idaho v. Koberger? Gave him a rundown on it. I mean, if it's really him, it would totally be worth going back and reading all his comments in the live chat because he's been on several streams for a good while, which is like, I mean, I assumed it wasn't him, right? But like somebody in the chat said it was, but I just figured they were, you know, like, right? So, I mean, there could be more. There could be also somebody made one, right? I guess it doesn't have to be the same one who was in Emily D. Baker stream. But how did they verify it was him on that? Wow. I can't imagine he has the time, for one thing. I mean, right? I know. Like, and I will say, like, so Uncivil Law has been here many times. There's been some other people who I'm like, why are, like, what? But like, Mr. Alessi is like, I even wrote down his favorite, I have it written down right here, his favorite musician, because I was asking him who his favorite musician was. And he said, John Lee Hooker. I wrote it down. I'm looking at it right here on Snip. That was from one of the days he was here. We were talking about music. I mean, like, I guess I could just ask him if he wants to like come on. Like, if it's really, like, I don't know. It's pretty wild, right? Oh, Emily did. Okay. Interesting. I mean, it's so true, right? Iowa. I thought the same thing. What is the other one? Like Micah or whatever? There's like the ones that just kind of crumble. Oh, that's awesome. I did not know that. Yeah, he's been here. Usually it was for Shanna Gardner, but there might have been a couple other things. And it was like he was in the chat and I was like, what? And then there's been some other people too. Who else was in here? I was like, what the heck? I can't remember off the top of my head. Totally, you're Happy Annie. Yeah, could be. That's a great point. Could be his way to get a feel of how the world is viewing the Karen Reed case. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Totally. I mean, and you know what? To that end, there was some issue yesterday with a juror, and it had to do with social media. And I just saw, like, literally, I've been streaming so much. I saw literally 5 seconds of Laurie, talking about it, and he said that, and he was just reading from like Tom Webster's some social media thing, and he just said that his interpretation of what it was like that clearly her defense attorneys are all over it with like the pulse. So that also would support the fact that maybe that's what he's doing. And but engaging with the chat, like, dude, like he could watch the chat and not engage. Like that just is, if that's him, like that's so incredibly generous and kind. You know what I mean? Like a nice person, right? Like the Squirrel Crew were just we were goofing around with the heart as a rock and like, I don't know, just so down to earth, right? If that's, he doesn't have to do that. But I'm like, I've got tons of clips of him here. So that's not the only one, and the other thing, I played the freaking Get Low Canton style music video. Again, I didn't really think it was really him. I played that in his honor. And then I apologized because I was like, I'm sorry you're not in it, because the beginning is like Jackson Unetti, it's time to shine. I was like, I'm sorry you're not in it. I made this last summer. And he was like, it's okay, I'm new. Just crazy. I did. I totally did. Yep. Basically, I was like, here, let me show you all the Karen Reed stuff that I have. I've got tons of funny stuff that I pull up all the time, right? The lolly bird, I'm sure I was like, here, look, it's the lolly bird, with his closing argument tie. I mean, we went through all the stuff. And then I gave him the different string. I gave him the TLDR on Idaho. Hopefully he'll be back. I mean, he was here for probably, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, or 5 streams, which is really funny. Now, having said that, I haven't had a Karen Reed stream recently. It's been a couple of days or something because there's not been much there going on. And of course, there's been all this going on and Brian Koberger. But yeah, I mean, since you were there for that, Miss Mandy, maybe you will know if it's the same dude, like if the picture looks the same or whatever it is. I mean, I remember him saying like, yeah, it's really me, but like, of course someone could just say that. Right. So, I thought it seemed legit though, when he said he hadn't heard of Idaho v. Koberger, but again, it's like, isn't that what someone could say? I don't know. It's pretty funny. I love it either way. If it's really him, I would probably just fall over if that turned out to be true. I guess I'm half hoping it's not, just for my own safety, but weirder things have happened, haven't they? So, speaking of which, I should also, following up with that, STS still wants to have me on as a best guest to talk about Koberger. That first came up a while ago. And apparently what's going on is Joel is just so ADHD that he just hasn't gotten around to calling me, but that still is, they're still planning on it or wanting to, or whatever the case may be. So that still could happen or is supposed to happen. It's just a matter of Joel calling me. So, for any of you guys who heard me talking about that whole thing, you bought it when he said his favorite song. Did he name a song? I just wrote down John Lee Hooker, Annie, but I also thought that seemed authentic as well when he mentioned that artist. And I didn't know the artist, but I looked it up and it was a blues artist. Did he give a specific song? Because if so, I need to write that down. So you were clearly there. But yeah, okay. Well, let's see what else Nate has to say here.
When is deceased or not. They are not trained to know. Well, he said when he got there that it was clear that Charles was dead. He testified about that. You can go watch the testimony, and that he had been dead for a little bit of time, and that's why he didn't do well. But you're right. The paramedics did do CPR, and they arrived there. So I don't remember his exact testimony. I don't want to guess too. So
gotcha.
Go back and watch and see why he was asked about it. I just don't remember the answer.
That makes sense.
Sean T, I'm very interested in going to CrimeCon. I've been looking it all up. If I go, I'll probably go by myself. Do you think that is safe? Oh yeah, it's safe, Shanti. It's safe. CrimeCon sounds morbid, maybe, sounds weird, sounds like there might be mass murders running around. It's not like that. It's prosecutors, it's defense attorneys, it's journalists like me. I'm going to be there, and I can't wait to tell you what I'm going to be doing for one of the panels. It's not announced yet, but when I tell you, I hope you'll come. I hope you'll be there if you can. It can be pricey for some of you. If you use the promo code Eaton, E-A-T-O-N, I shouldn't say for some of you. There is a fee. And the speakers are not paid. We're not paid. They do cover our lodging and they do cover our flights. And they bring in tons of speakers. And it's just fascinating if you're into true crime. But if you use EATON as the promo code, that'll get you 10% off a standard badge. Is there anything someone like me should know who's never been to like that before? Just you're going to go and have fun. And you'll see the schedule, look at past years, the agendas, and you can get an idea. Do they have food vendors there, or will I have to go off-site to eat? I believe they're in the...
The fact that Nate Eaton speaks so highly about it, speaks like that goes a long way for me, because it's hard to know what to expect with that type of thing.
I've never been to this resort where they're holding at this hotel, but in the past they've had all sorts of food vendors. Nate speaks about a trial for Brandon Boudreaux. What trial? Could he clarify that? Yes, Brandon Boudreaux is Lori's former nephew-in-law. He was driving home from the gym when he was shot at by Alex Cox. He survived. He was not hit. And now Lori's charged with conspiring to commit his murder. Brandon was on the dark list. Brandon was married to Melanie Boudreaux.
Naturally.
Brandon's trial is set for the first 2 weeks of June, and I'll be back here to cover it. That's the last Daybell trial. Ray, I'm not sure if it's come out in the courtroom whether Charles was shot standing up for the first shot from Alex. It came out today. If you go back and listen, it was clarified that he was standing up when he was shot. Can you clarify if Charles was shot both times while lying on the floor? No, he was shot once standing, he fell to the ground, and then was shot again, according to the witnesses. Does a jury know that Adam is dead? And if not, will they be told? Yes, Lori told them that her brother is no longer alive, that he passed away. They don't know the specifics. Ty, I might be coming to the trial at the end of the week.
If you ask me.
Or the week after. I'm just wondering if you could give me some idea of what time to be at the courthouse if I want to get a seat. The courtroom opens at, the courtroom is actually in use by another judge before 10.
Oh,
so
there it is.
That's why the trial starts at 10:30. So people start arriving around 7 to 8. I got there a little later this morning. I got there around 8:15. The past few days, I've gotten there around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And of course, I'm on the media row. But I think if you got there, I would say by 9. But please get there early because who knows, tomorrow there could be 100 people there. And then, you're out of.
Has to leave to go play with her baby. Please go play with your baby and have a wonderful day. We will be covering, depending on when they come in and what the order is, we may be covering, if I can cover Adam, like when he's testifying, I will, but otherwise we will be doing the entire rest of the day. We will do all that later tonight. So, but thank you so much for being here.
Luck. What would open the door to the prosecution talking about her Idaho charges? I saw a witness mentioned Idaho. Yes, a witness did mention Idaho yesterday.
Sure
they
did.
didn't go down that road with it. Lori could have said, you mentioned an Idaho trial. What was that about? She didn't. And so I don't know if we'll see if that will come of it. Rhonda, why doesn't the court keep more jurors? Well, it's up to the judge. He chose 4 alternates. He could have had 6, could have had 8. That's a lot of alternates. You also don't want to go overboard. And then, they go down and serve time for 3 or 4 weeks. And then half of them go home because they don't have to deliberate. But so far we haven't lost anything like that, any jurors. Can Lori's interrogation interview be used as evidence by the prosecution or anyone? I don't know if they'll bring that in. That's a great question. We'll have to see because it's out there. We know it's out there. With 2 jurors already being dismissed in Lori's case, what happens if they run out of jury members? Is that even possible? It is possible. If 2 more get booted, then no more can be lost. If you lose 3 more, they have to do a mistrial. You don't have a full jury. Does the jury know Lori is a prisoner? Well, they know she's been charged with conspiracy to commit murder. They have not seen her in her jail outfit, and they have not seen her with handcuffs or ankle shackles. So they do know that she, yes, has been charged. I don't know how much they know with the specifics. Nate, does Lori have any family of her own in court? She does not. Well, her uncle has come and cousins, but she doesn't have any others.
Uncle Rex?
Yesterday, Idaho was brought up in court. We talked about that. Do you feel like Lori was fixated on CPR? If so, why? A lot of talk about CPR. I don't know if she was fixated. I think she might be trying to find any sort of thing that she can go after, if that's the word, if she can, bring up to be like, hey, why didn't this happen? Or why didn't that happen? So I'm going
to jump ahead a little bit to see if he talks about the next, like what to expect for today.
The judge has ordered that nothing inflammatory or graphic be shown. And he didn't give specifics like, don't show this, do show that, and whatnot. But sorry about the audio stuff today, but that's why they're not showing it. Tim says, Nate, can you do your best Nancy Grace impersonation saying, who killed Nate Eaton and is wearing his skin? Nancy said that the other day when I've had more people talk to me about that Nancy Grace interview. What's funny is that after she ended the interview, she said, all right, got to go. Love ya. Nate Eaton, did someone kill you and put on your skin? Nate Eaton, it's always Nate Eaton. One of a law enforcement friend texted me today and said, I'm going to stand up for you to Nancy Grace. Thank you all for caring so much. Today, Nancy Joe, back to the other Nancy, said that she'd seen Charles's picture on TV in December of that year. Can you tell us why his picture was on TV? I'm betting that when the story broke that JJ and Tylee were missing and that Chad and Lori were on the run, all the media was doing deep dives into.
That's literally what I thought too. And I figured as much. I literally figured that when she saw that, she saw the kids too. That's what I figured.
History. And so we probably, especially in Arizona, they're like, Lori Vallow, her husband was killed in July, and they showed him then because that's when it was all coming together.
Yeah.
So and here's how you do it. You subscribe, you should get a notification, but I don't know how that works. Facebook, I'm on X, I'm on Insta, and I'm on YouTube. And the past few mornings, I've been going live on YouTube before court. And this morning was quite fun. If you weren't part of the conversation, it's a little bit more casual than here. Not that I feel this pretty casual, but this is more just me chatting on the way. And for some reason, you all were asking crazy things like what brand of toothpaste do I have? And do I wear cologne? And what kind of deodorant, all that sort of stuff. So that can be there. Last question for the night. Sherry, in the courtroom, can you hear Lori whisper when she doesn't realize her mic is on? No. You all probably hear that more than I do, more than the people in the courtroom do, because we're far back. In fact, sometimes we can't even hear what the judge is saying or what Trina K is saying or what Lori's saying because they're not talking into their mics. All right, everybody, we had a great night. Thanks for bearing with me with the technical difficulties in the beginning, and we will be back tomorrow. Another day in court.
Are you going to
more witnesses? Live stream starts at 10. Okay. Live stream starts at 11 Arizona time. And here to remind you, because many of you are still emailing me saying, "How do I watch? How do I watch?" This will answer all of your questions that you need to know. 11 o'clock Pacific, noon Mountain, 1 Central, 2 Eastern on the East Idaho News YouTube channel.
I don't know why the other ones are starting early. Weird.
Where you can chat with Peggy and our other people who are on there all day, discuss the trial as it's on. I pop in there a time or two and say hello. It's really awesome to go in and see all of you acting as kind of our own little East Idaho News community. I'm about to run out of a voice, so everybody have a great night. Thanks.
Okay, so no information about what's happening today with the witnesses. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of hoping he would say like when Adam is testifying. I I guess I'll kind of look into that. They start early to chat. Yeah. Does anybody know? Does anybody know if it was specified at some point, like when if Adam's going to go first or Kay's going to go first? I couldn't find anything online. Well, I didn't do a search for Adam. Let me take a look. And just see. I don't know how y'all get those updates. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything searching. It's just talking about just generic stuff. So I don't know. So I'll keep an eye out to see what happens. And I may go live. Like if one of them are as early, like as soon as court starts, I might go live. But otherwise, we will cover the whole day later, like the day in its entirety later. So, but that'll be it for this one, guys. So we are all up to speed here, and yeah. So y'all are awesome. Thanks for being a squirrel. We did cover all the Koberger hearings as well, so I've got to get working on timestamps as well. Defense offered more people. Wait, what do you mean defense offered more people? What do you mean there, Iowa? You're welcome, Candace. I mean, defense offered more people. No, I want to answer your question. What does defense offered more people mean? Do you mean they were offered more paralegals? Is that what you mean? Okay. Yeah, paralegals. Right. That's different than an intern. I mean, I think that's a good solution. If the problem is like they can't get it done in time, and between that and continuing the trial, like it is a good solution, right? Versus, I mean, I guess if Judge Hippler's goal is to not preclude the death penalty, right? Then that could be a solution to where, right. And she said no, right? I know she did say no. Well, I think what she said was like, it still wouldn't really help because she still would need to be able to go through certain things anyway. That's my recollection. Like that would be like, it would help, but like it still wouldn't solve the problem. That's my recollection of what she said, which is not really a hard no. It's like, it's more like she's there to argue precluding the death penalty, right? So anything that could offer an alternative is going to be not well received, even if it's something she wants, and it would take time to train them. That's right. She did say something like they aren't familiar with the case, right? That's another thing she did say. Yeah. They're not familiar with the case. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot between covering it a lot, the part 1 yesterday and part 2. I mean, it's probably over 12 hours, I guess, maybe, that we covered it. So, it's hard to summarize my thoughts because I have a lot of thoughts, but yeah, but y'all are the best, and hopefully see you guys here later. Love y'all, and squirrel out.